The blueprint hit the polished marble floor at 6:47 a.m., and Liam Carter's life shattered exactly 3 minutes later. He shouldn't have touched it, shouldn't have looked, shouldn't have opened his mouth when he saw the structural miscalculation that would eventually collapse an entire wing. But muscle memory doesn't ask permission. 15 years of training don't just disappear because you're holding a mop instead of a drafting pen. What the hell do you think you're doing? Ava Sinclair's voice cut through the empty lobby like broken glass, and Liam knew, even before he turned around, that he'd just made a mistake that would cost him everything. If you want to see how Liam fights his way back from rock bottom, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The thing about being invisible is that people forget you have a past. Liam had been working the night shift at Meridian Design Group for 8 months, and in all that time, maybe 5 people had bothered learning his name. He preferred it that way. Invisibility meant safety. It meant no questions about why a 32-year-old man with steady hands and an engineering degree was pushing a cleaning cart through one of Chicago's most prestigious architecture firms at 4 in the morning. It meant his daughter stayed fed, kept a roof over her head, got to go to a school where the other kids didn't notice her clothes came from Goodwill. The downtown skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 43rd floor as Liam worked his way through the senior design wing. His routine never changed. Trash bins first, then surfaces, then floors. Methodical, efficient. The kind of discipline that had once made him one of the brightest students in his graduating class at MIT. That felt like someone else's life now. "Dad?" The voice crackled through his phone, and Liam smiled despite the ache in his lower back. He wedged the phone between his shoulder and ear, continuing to wipe down the conference table. "You're supposed to be asleep, Emma." "I had a bad dream." His daughter's voice was small, 7 years old and trying so hard to be brave. "About Mom again." Liam stopped moving, set down the cleaning spray. "What kind of dream?" "The car one, where she doesn't come home." He closed his eyes. 3 years, and it still ambushed them both when they least expected it. "That was just a dream, sweetheart. I'm coming home in 2 hours, okay? Mrs. Chen's right downstairs if you need anything." "I know." A pause. "Dad, are you cleaning toilets again?" "Office spaces tonight. Very fancy toilets, though. Marble everything." That got a small giggle. "You're weird." "Go back to sleep. Love you." "Love you too." The line went dead, and Liam stood there for a moment, phone still pressed to his ear, staring at nothing. The city stretched out before him, full of people sleeping in beds they owned, in apartments they didn't share with 3 other families, worrying about problems that didn't include whether the electricity would get shut off next month. He pocketed the phone and got back to work. The senior partner's offices occupied the northeast corner, glass-walled spaces that screamed money and power. Liam had learned early on not to look too closely at the work spread across their desks. Not his business, not his world anymore. But habits die hard. He was emptying the trash in Marcus Webb's office when he saw it. A full-scale blueprint spread across the drafting table, weighted down at the corners with coffee mugs. The new development project everyone had been buzzing about for months. Riverside Commons, 60-story mixed-use tower, $300 million contract. Liam told himself to look away. His eyes traced the elevation drawings instead. It was beautiful work, honestly. Clean lines, innovative use of space, the kind of ambitious design that won awards. Whoever had led this had talent, real talent, and they'd made a catastrophic mistake. His brain caught it before he could stop himself. The load-bearing calculations on the northwest corner didn't account for wind shear at that height. The numbers were off. Not by much. Just enough to matter in year 5, maybe year 7, when metal fatigue started to compound and the whole structure began to shift incrementally, stressing the joints, creating microfractures in the... "Stop!" Liam jerked back from the table like it had burned him. This wasn't his job. Wasn't his life. He was the janitor. He cleaned up other people's messes. He didn't solve them. He grabbed his cart and headed for the door. The blueprint slipped off the table as he passed, caught in the draft from the ventilation system. It hit the floor with a soft whisper of paper against marble. Liam hesitated. Left it there. Made it 3 steps into the hallway before his feet stopped moving. Emma's face flashed through his mind. Not as she was now, but as she'd been the day after the funeral, when she'd asked him in that tiny, broken voice if they were going to be okay, and he'd promised her they would be. promised her he'd take care of everything. Buildings didn't collapse because of good intentions. They collapsed because someone saw a problem and walked away. Liam went back, picked up the blueprint, smoothed it out on the table, checking the corners to make sure nothing had torn. That's when he heard the footsteps. Quick, purposeful, expensive heels on marble. He looked up just as Ava Sinclair rounded the corner. She was young, maybe 26, 27, with sharp features and sharper eyes, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Liam made in 2 months. He'd seen her around before, always moving fast, always talking on her phone, one of those rising stars who treated the office like a battlefield she was determined to conquer. She stopped cold when she saw him. "What are you doing?" Liam straightened, still holding the blueprint. "It fell. I was just—" "That's a confidential design document." Her voice had edges that could draw blood. "You're not authorized to touch that." "I know. It slipped off the table and I— Were you looking at it?" The question hung in the air between them, and Liam realized with sinking certainty that the truth would sound worse than a lie. "I was putting it back." Ava's eyes narrowed. She crossed the distance between them in 4 strides, heels clicking like a countdown. "Do you have any idea what kind of liability you just created? That's proprietary information for a $300 million project." "I understand that. I wasn't trying to—" "What's your name?" "Liam Carter." "Well, Liam Carter, you're done here." She pulled out her phone, fingers already moving. "I'm calling security." Something cold settled in Liam's chest. "That's not necessary. I didn't steal anything. I didn't photograph anything. I was doing my job." "Your job is to clean, not to snoop through confidential documents." She didn't even look at him, already typing out a message. "This is a serious breach of protocol." I picked up a piece of paper that fell on the floor. "A piece of paper you had no business touching in the first place." Now she did look at him, and her expression was pure contempt. "Do you know how many people would kill to see this design before the client presentation? How much corporate espionage happens in this industry?" "I'm not a corporate spy. I'm a janitor." "Exactly. So stay in your lane." The words landed like a slap, and Liam felt something inside him go very still. He'd spent 3 years swallowing his pride, keeping his head down, accepting that this was his life now. But there was a difference between humility and humiliation. "There's a structural problem," he said quietly. Ava's finger hovered over her phone screen. "What?" "In the design, the load calculations on the northwest corner, they don't account for cumulative wind shear stress at that elevation. It'll hold for a few years, but eventually—" "Are you seriously trying to tell me how to do my job right now?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're a janitor criticizing a design that was approved by 3 senior partners and 2 structural engineers. I'm just saying, you're just trying to save your own ass by pretending you were being helpful instead of intrusive." She finished typing and looked up at him with cold finality. "Security will be here in 3 minutes. I want you to put down that blueprint, step away from the table, and wait in the hallway." Liam set the blueprint down carefully, smoothing the edges one last time. His hands were steady even though his heart was pounding. "You should have someone check the calculations, just to be sure. Get out." He picked up his cleaning cart and walked toward the door, each step feeling like a small death. Behind him, he could hear Ava already on the phone, her voice clipped and professional as she reported the security incident. The elevator ride down felt longer than it should have. The security guard who met him in the lobby was apologetic but firm. "Company policy, nothing personal, just need to collect your badge and escort you out." Liam handed over the ID that had led him into the building for the past 8 months, signed the termination paperwork without reading it, walked out into the Chicago dawn with nothing but his phone and his jacket and the crushing knowledge that he'd just lost the only job standing between his daughter and complete financial collapse. The train ride home took 40 minutes. Liam spent all of them staring at his reflection in the dark window, watching the city wake up around him, trying to figure out how he was going to explain this to Emma, how he was going to pay rent, how he was going to buy groceries, how he was going to keep the promise he'd made at Sarah's grave, that he would take care of their daughter, no matter what. By the time he climbed the 4 flights to their apartment, the sun was fully up, and Mrs. Chen was already knocking on his door with Emma in tow, dressed for school. "Morning, Mr. Carter." The elderly woman smiled warmly. "She's been an angel, as always." "Thanks, Mrs. Chen." Liam crouched down to Emma's level, forcing a smile he didn't feel. Hey, kiddo, sleep okay after we talked? Emma nodded, but her eyes were searching his face with that nerving 7-year-old perception that saw too much. You look sad. Just tired. Long night. You always say that. Because it's always true. He kissed her forehead. Go brush your teeth. I'll make breakfast. The apartment was small. One bedroom that Emma got, a living room where Liam slept on a pull-out couch that had come with the place, kitchen barely big enough to turn around in, but it was clean, and it was safe, and it was theirs. For now. Liam made scrambled eggs and toast while Emma chattered about a project at school, some kind of building challenge with popsicle sticks. He listened and nodded in the right places, but his mind was already running calculations. 2 weeks of savings in the bank, maybe 3 if he stretched. Then what? Dad, you're not listening. He blinked and found Emma watching him with her mother's eyes, dark brown and impossibly perceptive. Sorry, sweetheart. Say that again? I said, can you help me with the building thing? You're good at building stuff. Something twisted in his chest. Yeah, I can help you with that. After he dropped Emma at school, Liam came back to the apartment and sat on the couch that was also his bed, staring at his phone. He should be looking for jobs, calling temp agencies, updating his resume. Instead, he pulled up the news. It took 15 minutes of searching before he found it. A small article in the Chicago Tribune's business section about Meridian Design Group's upcoming presentation for the Riverside Commons project. Biggest contract of the year, career-making opportunity for the firm, and a ticking time bomb if no one caught the mistake he'd seen. Liam closed his eyes and tried to tell himself it wasn't his problem anymore. Back at Meridian Design Group, Ava Sinclair was having the worst morning of her professional life. It had started well enough. She'd come in early to prep for the 9 a.m. design review, ready to present the Riverside Commons final drawings to Marcus Webb and the other senior partners. This was her project, her design, her lead, her chance to prove she belonged in the same room as people twice her age with 3 times her experience. Then the files had vanished. Not just vanished, corrupted, deleted, gone. Talk to me, David. Ava stood behind the IT specialist's chair, watching him type frantically. How bad is it? David Reeves, 23 and perpetually exhausted, didn't look up from his screen. Bad. Really bad. The entire project folder is gone. Every version, every backup, He stopped typing. Oh no. What oh no? I don't like oh no. The cloud backup failed 3 days ago, and nobody noticed. Ava felt the floor drop out from under her. That's impossible. We have redundancy protocols. Yeah, well, somebody screwed up the redundancy protocols? David finally turned to look at her, and his expression was pure devastation. I'm sorry, Ava. I don't know how this happened, but the only version we have left is the preliminary draft from 2 months ago. Everything since then is just gone. The conference room had gone very quiet. Ava could feel 6 pairs of eyes on her back. The senior partners, the junior designers, everyone who'd worked on this project for the past year. Marcus Webb cleared his throat. Ava, tell me we have physical copies. We have the printed presentation boards, but the digital files with all the calculations, the structural models, She stopped, forcing herself to breathe. We can rebuild it. We have the notes. The client presentation is in 5 days. Marcus's voice was gentle, which somehow made it worse. We can't walk in there with incomplete work. Then we work around the clock. We consider postponing. The word hung in the air like a guillotine blade. If we postpone, we lose the contract, Ava said flatly. You know that. Patterson Development is already talking to 3 other firms. If we show any weakness, if we present incomplete work, we're done anyway. Marcus stood, straightening his tie. I need you to figure out what happened here. Who had access to these files? Whether this was malicious or just catastrophic incompetence. And I need you to do it fast. The meeting dissolved into controlled chaos. People making calls, pulling archives, trying to salvage anything they could from the digital wreckage. Ava stood in the middle of it all, her mind racing. The files had been fine yesterday. She'd checked them herself before leaving at 8 p.m. Everything backed up, everything secure. And then the only person in the building overnight had been the janitor. Everyone stopped talking. Ava turned to find Jennifer Park, one of the junior architects, staring at her laptop with a strange expression. "What about him?" Ava asked. "I was reviewing the security logs, trying to figure out who accessed what." Jennifer looked up. "Liam Carter, that's the custodian you had escorted out this morning. His keycard shows he was on this floor from 4:15 to 6:30 a.m. So? That's his shift. Right, but look at this." Jennifer turned her laptop around. Door access logs show he entered Marcus's office at 5:47. The file deletion timestamp is 5:52. The implication settled over the room like ice water. "That's circumstantial," David said carefully. "Could be a coincidence." "He was looking at the blueprints when I found him," Ava said slowly. "He claimed they'd just fallen, but..." Marcus's expression had gone very cold. "Did he have access to the network?" "Custodial staff doesn't have login credentials," David said. "But if he physically accessed a workstation that was still logged in..." He trailed off. The implication's obvious. Industrial sabotage. Marcus pulled out his phone. "I'm calling our lawyers. Ava, I need you to document everything about this morning's incident. Every detail. If this was intentional..." "Wait." Jennifer was frowning at her screen again. "This doesn't make sense." "What doesn't? If he deleted the files at 5:52, why did he stick around for another 40 minutes? Why not leave immediately?" She scrolled through more logs. "And look, his keycard shows normal movement patterns. Break room at 6:05, probably for cleaning. Supply closet at 6:18. He wasn't acting like someone who just committed corporate sabotage." "Unless he's just that good at covering his tracks," Ava said. But even as she spoke, something nagged at her. The look on Liam Carter's face when she'd confronted him. Not guilty, not nervous, just tired and resigned, and what he'd said about the structural problem. Did anyone actually check the northwest corner calculations? The question was out before Ava could stop herself. Everyone stared at her. "What?" Marcus said. "Before I had him removed, he said something about the load calculations, wind shear stress. He said there was a problem." "He's a janitor, Ava." "I know, but what if a janitor with no credentials and no authorization to even look at those documents happened to spot a problem that 3 licensed structural engineers missed?" Marcus's tone was sharp. "Think about what you're saying." Ava felt her face heat. "You're right. Sorry. You're stressed. We all are." Marcus's voice softened slightly. "Focus on what we can control. Get me everything on Carter, background, employment history, anything that might indicate motive. And someone pull up the preliminary files. We need to start rebuilding from scratch." The room scattered into motion again, but Ava stood frozen, that nagging feeling growing stronger. She'd seen Liam Carter around for months. Quiet. Kept to himself. Never caused problems. Never been late. Never called in sick. Never done anything to draw attention. Why would someone like that suddenly commit corporate sabotage? And why would he stick around afterward to be caught? "Jennifer," Ava moved to the younger woman's desk. "Can you pull up his employment file?" "Already on it." Jennifer's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Liam Carter, hired 8 months ago through a temp agency. Background check came back clean. No criminal record, no red flags. Previous employment is, What? It's sparse. Before this job, he has an 18-month gap. And before that..." Jennifer leaned closer to the screen. "Before that, he worked construction, day labor mostly. Nothing steady." "What about education?" Jennifer clicked through several more screens, then went very still. "Oh, what is it?" "His application lists a bachelor's degree in architectural engineering from M1T. Graduated top of his class in 2015. The office noise faded into white static. "That can't be right," Ava said. "I'm looking at his transcripts right now. They're verified." Jennifer scrolled down. Thesis on sustainable high-rise design in urban environments, published in 2 peer-reviewed journals. He had offers from 4 major firms before he even graduated. Then what the hell is he doing cleaning toilets? Nobody had an answer for that. Ava stared at the personnel file, her mind reeling. An MIT graduate working as a night janitor. It didn't make sense, unless something had gone very wrong in his life, or he was playing a very long game. "Keep digging," she told Jennifer. "I want to know everything about him, where he lives, who he associates with. why he dropped off the radar for 18 months. If this is corporate espionage, there's got to be a connection somewhere. But even as she said it, Ava couldn't shake the memory of Liam's face when she'd ordered him out. Not defiant, not angry, just sad. Wait. Liam spent the afternoon filling out applications. Dishwasher at a downtown restaurant, night shift warehouse worker, delivery driver. Each one felt like swallowing glass, but pride didn't pay rent. Emma would be home from school in 2 hours. He needed to have answers by then, needed to be able to tell her everything would be okay, even if he didn't believe it himself. His phone rang at 4:47 p.m., an unknown number. Liam almost didn't answer. Debt collectors had his number now, and he didn't have the energy for those conversations today. But something made him pick up. Liam Carter? The voice was crisp, professional, vaguely familiar. It took him a second to place it. This is Jennifer Park. I'm a junior architect at Meridian Design Group. We need to talk. Liam's stomach dropped. I already turned in my badge. I don't have anything else. I'm not calling about that. I'm calling because I need to know something. A pause. The structural concern you mentioned this morning, the wind shear calculations. Were you serious? Liam stood up from the couch, his heart suddenly pounding. Why? Because our entire project file got corrupted last night, and we're trying to rebuild from scratch, and I'm looking at the preliminary calculations right now, and I think... She stopped. I think you might have been right. The world tilted slightly on its axis. What do you mean corrupted? Deleted. Gone. Every version from the past 2 months. We're back to square one, and the client presentation is in 5 days. And if there's a structural problem we missed, we need to know about it now. Liam closed his eyes, saw the blueprint in his mind, clear as a photograph. The wind load analysis uses static values, but at that height, in that location, you're getting oscillating pressure from Lake Michigan. The building will flex, not much, maybe 2 inches at the peak, but over time, that creates stress fractures in the connection points. The northwest corner takes the worst of it because of the way the structure steps back. It'll hold for 5, maybe 7 years. Then you'll start seeing problems. Silence on the other end of the line. How do you know all this? Jennifer's voice was quiet now, careful. I used to do this for a living. Ava Sinclair had you fired this morning for corporate espionage. I know. The file corruption happened at the exact time you were in that office. I know that too. So why the hell are you helping me right now? Liam looked around his tiny apartment, at the popsicle stick project materials spread across the kitchen table, at Emma's backpack hanging by the door, at the framed photo of Sarah on the bookshelf, frozen forever at 28. Because buildings don't care about office politics, he said quietly. And people are going to live in that tower, work in it, raise their families in it. If it fails because someone saw a problem and stayed quiet, that's on them. Another long silence. Meet me at the corner coffee shop on Wabash in 1 hour, Jennifer said finally. Don't tell anyone you're coming. The line went dead. Liam stood there, phone still pressed to his ear, trying to decide if this was a trap or a lifeline. His phone buzzed with a text. Emma's at Mrs. Chen's. Going to be late picking her up. Pizza money on the counter. Except he hadn't sent that message. He called Mrs. Chen. She picked up on the second ring, sounding confused. Mr. Carter? Is everything all right? I got your text about watching Emma longer tonight. I didn't send you a text. A pause. But it came from your number. Ice flooded Liam's veins. Is Emma there? Is she safe? She's fine. She's right here. We're making cookies. I just thought, keep her there. Don't let her leave with anyone but me. I'll be there as soon as I can. He hung up and stared at his phone, mind racing. Someone had accessed his messages, spoofed his number, arranged for Emma to be somewhere he wasn't expecting. This wasn't about a job anymore. This was something bigger. Liam grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, every instinct screaming that he was walking into something dangerous. But if someone was threatening his daughter, even indirectly, then dangerous was exactly where he needed to be. The coffee shop was 15 minutes away by train. Liam made it in 12, moving fast through the early evening crowds, checking over his shoulder every 30 seconds. Jennifer Park was already there, sitting in a back corner booth with her laptop open and 3 empty coffee cups in front of her. She looked exhausted. You came, she said, as Liam slid into the seat across from her. Someone spoofed my phone and sent messages to my neighbor. So I'm guessing this isn't just about calculations. Jennifer's eyes widened. When? 20 minutes ago, right after you called. That's not me. I swear to God, I'm just trying to figure out what happened to our files. She turned her laptop around. Look, this is the security footage from last night. The screen showed a grainy black and white view of the senior partner's office. Timestamp, 5:47 a.m. Liam watched himself enter the frame, pushing his cleaning cart. Saw himself empty the trash, wipe down surfaces. Saw the blueprint slip off the table. Saw himself pick it up. And then the camera feed cut to static. That's a 60-second gap, Jennifer said. Just long enough for someone to delete the files and cover their tracks. And conveniently, it happens while you're in the room. I didn't delete anything. I don't even know the network passwords. I believe you. Jennifer pulled up another window. Because I found this. The screen showed lines of code, access logs, digital timestamps, user credentials. Someone with admin privileges accessed the file server at 5:52, Jennifer said. They used Marcus Webb's login credentials. But Marcus wasn't in the building. He didn't arrive until 8:15. So someone stole his password. Or he's lying about when he got here. Jennifer's voice dropped. Ava thinks you're a corporate spy. Marcus thinks you sabotaged the project, but what if this is about something else entirely? Like what? Like someone at Meridian wanted this project to fail. Jennifer pulled up a third document, financial records, emails, corporate filings. I've been digging all day. Meridian is hemorrhaging money, 3 failed projects in 2 years. If we lose the Riverside Commons contract, we're done. Bankruptcy, liquidation. Then why would someone sabotage it? Insurance, litigation, I don't know. Jennifer looked up at him. But you're the perfect fall guy. No connections, no credibility, a janitor with a mysterious past. Fire you, blame you, collect the insurance money when the project fails. Liam felt something cold settle in his chest. You're saying this was a setup from the beginning. I'm saying someone very smart is playing a very dangerous game, and we just became inconvenient. Outside the window, a black sedan pulled up to the curb. 2 men in suits got out. We need to go, Liam said quietly. What? Why? Because those aren't lawyers. The men were already moving toward the coffee shop entrance, walking with the kind of purpose that said they knew exactly who they were looking for. Liam grabbed Jennifer's laptop and her hand and pulled her toward the back exit, his mind already racing through options. He'd spent 3 years being invisible. That time was over. The back alley smelled like rotting garbage and stale beer, but Liam didn't slow down until they'd put 3 blocks between themselves and the coffee shop. Jennifer was breathing hard, her laptop clutched against her chest like a shield. Who the hell were those people? She gasped. I don't know, but they weren't here to ask questions. Liam pulled her into the doorway of a closed dry cleaner, checking the street behind them. No sign of the black sedan. Yet. Jennifer's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her face went pale. It's Ava. She's asking where I am. Don't answer it. I have to. If I don't, she'll know something's wrong. Something is wrong. Liam's mind was racing, trying to piece together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Someone set me up to take the fall for sabotaging that project. Now they're escalating, which means we're getting close to something they don't want us to find. Or they just want to clean up loose ends. Jennifer's hands were shaking as she typed out a response. I told her I went home sick, migraine. Will she buy it? Probably not. Ava's smart. She's going to start asking questions. Jennifer looked up at him, fear and determination fighting for space in her expression. We need proof, real proof, not just theories and coincidences. Then we need to get back into that building. Are you insane? Your badge is deactivated. Security has your photo. They'll arrest you on sight. Not if I go in through the loading dock. Liam had spent 8 months learning every entrance, every blind spot, every gap in the building's security, information he'd filed away without really thinking about why. The loading dock camera's been broken for 3 weeks. Night supervisor keeps forgetting to put in the work order. Jennifer stared at him. You're serious? Someone spoofed my phone to send messages to my neighbor. They know where I live. They know about Emma. His voice went flat and hard. I'm not waiting around to see what they do next. What about your daughter? If something happens to you, Nothing's going to happen to me.
Because I'm going to figure out who's behind this, and I'm going to make sure they can't hurt my family. He met her eyes. You don't have to come. This isn't your fight. Like hell it isn't. Jennifer straightened up, some of the fear leaving her face. Someone's trying to destroy my firm and frame an innocent person for it. That makes it my fight too. Liam felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest, something that might have been hope if he let himself believe in it. Then we need to move fast. What time does the night shift start? 10 p.m., skeleton crew on weekends. He checked his watch, 6:47. We've got 3 hours. I need to get Emma somewhere safe first. I'll come with you. 2 people are harder to follow than 1. They took the train north, changing lines twice and doubling back once to make sure they weren't being tailed. Liam kept his head down, watching reflections in windows, memorizing faces. Jennifer stayed close, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder, trying to look like just another tired commuter heading home. Mrs. Chen's building was a narrow 3-flat in Uptown, wedged between a laundromat and a Vietnamese restaurant. Liam buzzed the apartment and waited, every second stretching like pulled wire. The intercom crackled. Mr. Carter, that you? Yeah, can I come up? The door buzzed open. Liam took the stairs 2 at a time, Jennifer trailing behind him, and found Mrs. Chen waiting in the hallway with Emma beside her. His daughter's face lit up when she saw him. Dad, Mrs. Chen and I made chocolate chip cookies. Do you want some? Liam crouched down and pulled Emma into a hug, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. 7 years old and already so much like her mother, smart and brave and completely unaware of how fragile the world actually was. Maybe later, sweetheart. I need to talk to Mrs. Chen for a minute, okay? Emma's expression shifted, that too perceptive look crossing her face. Is something wrong? No, everything's fine. Go grab your backpack. She hesitated, then nodded and disappeared back into the apartment. Mrs. Chen was watching him with concerned eyes. Mr. Carter, what's going on? That text you sent, I didn't send it. Someone hacked my phone. Liam kept his voice low. I need to ask you a favor. A big one. Can Emma stay with you tonight? Maybe tomorrow too? Of course, but I can't explain everything right now, but there's some trouble at my old job and I need to make sure she's somewhere safe while I sort it out. Mrs. Chen's face hardened with understanding. She'd fled Saigon in 1975 with 3 children and a suitcase. She knew what trouble looked like. She can stay as long as you need. But you be careful, yes? That little girl needs her father. I know. Liam pulled out his wallet and handed her 3 20s, money he couldn't really spare but also couldn't afford not to spend. For food and anything else she needs. Put that away, you insult me. Mrs. Chen pushed the money back into his hands. You go do what you need to do. Emma will be safe here. Emma reappeared with her backpack, now looking genuinely worried. Dad, what's happening? Liam knelt down again, taking her small hands in his. Remember when I told you that sometimes grown-ups have to solve big problems, and it takes a little while? Yeah. Well, I've got one of those problems right now, so you're going to have a sleepover with Mrs. Chen for a day or 2 while I fix it, okay? Is it because you lost your job? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. How did you know about that? I heard you on the phone earlier. You were filling out applications. Her eyes were shining with unshed tears. Are we going to be okay? Liam pulled her close, his throat tight. Yes, I promise. We're going to be okay. It was the same promise he'd made at Sarah's funeral, the same promise he'd been breaking in small ways every day since. But this time, he was going to make it true. Emma hugged him hard, her small arms fierce around his neck. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Be good for Mrs. Chen. He stood up before he could change his mind, nodded his thanks to the elderly woman, and headed back down the stairs with Jennifer. They didn't speak until they were back on the street. She's beautiful, Jennifer said quietly. Looks just like you. She looks like her mother. Liam's voice was rough. Sarah died 3 years ago. Car accident. Drunk driver ran a red light. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. He started walking, hands shoved in his pockets. That's why I was working at Meridian. The settlement money ran out after 18 months, and my old firm didn't want me back. Said I was unreliable, couldn't focus, missed too many deadlines while I was trying to figure out how to be a single parent. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Turns out, MIT graduate,
Doesn't mean much when you've got a gap in your resume and a 7-year-old who needs to eat. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, I think you're doing a damn good job. Tell that to my landlord when I can't make rent next month. They grabbed burgers from a corner diner. Cheap, greasy, perfect, and ate standing up while Jennifer pulled up files on her laptop, using the diner's Wi-Fi to access Meridian's servers remotely. I still have my credentials, she said, fingers flying across the keyboard. They haven't locked me out yet. If I can access the backup logs, maybe I can trace who actually deleted those files. Won't they see you logging in? Not if I route through a VPN and mask my IP address. I'm not completely useless with tech. She frowned at the screen. Okay, this is weird. What? The file deletion wasn't just a simple delete command. Someone wrote a custom script to wipe the data and overwrite it multiple times. That's not amateur hour. That's someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Liam leaned over her shoulder, studying the lines of code. Can you trace who ran the script? The user ID shows Marcus Webb's credentials, but Jennifer clicked through several more screens. The script was uploaded to the server 3 days before it executed, and the upload timestamp shows it came from an external IP address. Meaning someone outside the building, or someone inside using a burner connection to cover their tracks. Jennifer's eyes widened. Wait, look at this. She pulled up an email chain, messages between Marcus Webb and someone named Richard Patterson. The subject line read, Riverside Commons, Contingency Planning. Liam scanned the messages, his stomach sinking with each line. Marcus, if the structural review comes back unfavorable, we need options. Can't afford another lakefront disaster. Patterson, understood. Insurance policy would cover catastrophic failure during construction phase. Might be the cleanest exit. Marcus, let's hope it doesn't come to that, but good to know we have a safety net. Lakefront disaster, Jennifer said quietly. That was 2 years ago. Meridian designed a waterfront hotel that had to be torn down halfway through construction because of foundation problems, cost them $40 million and nearly bankrupted the firm. And now they're looking at another potential structural failure. Liam's mind was racing. If the Riverside Commons project has the same kind of problems I saw in those blueprints, they'd be facing another massive loss unless they sabotage it themselves and collect the insurance money. Jennifer's face had gone pale. That's fraud. That's criminal. That's also why they needed a fall guy. Liam straightened up, everything clicking into place. Someone saw me looking at those blueprints and realized I'd spotted the structural flaw. If I went public with it, the whole project would collapse before they could trigger their insurance claim. So they framed me for sabotage, deleted the files to create chaos, and planned to blame everything on the disgruntled janitor with a mysterious past. But you didn't go public. You just got fired and went home. Which is probably why they're escalating now. I'm a loose end. Liam checked his watch. 8:15. We need to get into that building and find the original calculations. If I can prove there's a real structural flaw, it blows their whole plan apart. How does that help you? Because if I'm right about the flaw, then I couldn't have sabotaged the project. I was trying to save it. And if there's evidence that Marcus knew about the problem and covered it up, then he's the one who belongs in jail, not me. Jennifer closed her laptop slowly. You realize this is insane, right? Breaking into a building to steal evidence that might prove a conspiracy theory we can barely prove exists? You have a better idea? Not even a little bit. She stood up, slinging her laptop bag over her shoulder. But if we're doing this, we're doing it smart. I know where Marcus keeps his physical files, and I know the security patterns. Weekend night shift is just 2 guards, one at the main desk, one doing rounds every 45 minutes. You've been planning this. I've been thinking about it since those men showed up at the coffee shop. Jennifer's jaw was set. Nobody gets to destroy my career and frame innocent people without a fight. They took the train back downtown, staying quiet, blending into the Saturday night crowd of people heading out to bars and clubs. The Meridian building rose up against the night sky, all glass and steel and expensive architecture. Liam had spent 8 months cleaning those floors, invisible to everyone who worked there. Tonight, he was going to make damn sure they saw him. The loading dock was around back, down a concrete ramp that delivery trucks used during the day. At night, it was just an empty stretch of pavement and a single rolling door that was supposed to stay locked but never quite latched properly. Liam tested it gently. The door rolled up 6 inches, then stopped. "There's a gap," he whispered. "Just barely enough." Jennifer looked dubious. "For you, maybe. I'm not exactly built for breaking and entering." "You don't have to come in. You can wait here and keep watch." "Like hell! I didn't come this far to sit in an alley." She grabbed the bottom of the door. "On 3?" They lifted together, muscles straining, and the door rolled up another foot. Enough space to squeeze through if they didn't mind getting dirty. Liam went first, pulling himself through and landing in a crouch on the concrete floor of the loading bay. The space was dark except for emergency exit lights, filled with the shapes of supply crates and cleaning equipment. Jennifer followed, significantly less gracefully, and they both stood there for a moment, breathing hard and listening. Silence. "Freight elevators this way," Jennifer whispered, leading him through the maze of boxes. "Go straight to the 43rd floor, but we'll need a key card." "No, we won't." Liam pulled a small plastic card from his wallet, his old badge, the one he was supposed to have turned in that morning. Grabbed it from the security guard's desk while he wasn't looking, figured it might come in handy. Jennifer stared at him. "You stole your own badge back?" "Borrowed. I was going to return it." "You're either very smart or completely insane." "Can it be both?" The freight elevator lurched upward with a grinding sound that seemed impossibly loud in the quiet building. Liam watched the floor numbers climb, his heart pounding, waiting for alarms to start blaring or security to come running. Nothing happened. They reached the 43rd floor and stepped out into familiar territory. The senior design wing, all dark except for safety lighting. Liam had walked these halls 100 times with his cleaning cart, background noise, and other people's important lives. Now he was here to steal their secrets. Marcus Webb's office was at the far end, glass walls looking out over the city. Jennifer moved toward it with purpose, her earlier nervousness replaced by focused determination. "Filing cabinets are behind his desk," she said. "He keeps hard copies of everything important. Old-school paranoia about digital security. Ironic, considering someone just wiped his entire project folder. Yeah, well, maybe he had good reason to be paranoid." Jennifer tried the office door, locked. "Damn." Liam pulled a paperclip from his pocket, straightened it, and went to work on the lock. It took him 45 seconds, longer than he would have liked, but good enough. The door swung open. "Where did you learn to pick locks?" Jennifer asked. MIT had a very active extracurricular scene. Liam moved to the filing cabinets, testing each drawer, all locked. "You wouldn't happen to know where he keeps the keys?" "Top desk drawer. He thinks he's being clever hiding them in plain sight." She was right. Liam found a small ring of keys tucked under a stack of business cards and started trying them in the cabinet locks. The third key clicked home. Inside were rows of hanging folders meticulously labeled. Liam's fingers walked through them, looking for anything related to Riverside Commons. He found it in the second drawer, a thick folder stuffed with blueprints, calculations, structural reports, and email printouts. "Got it," he whispered. That's when the lights came on. Liam spun around, his heart stopping. Ava Sinclair stood in the doorway, one hand on the light switch, her expression unreadable. "I had a feeling you'd come back," she said quietly. "Jennifer, I'm disappointed. I expected better from you." Jennifer's face was white. "Ava, I can explain. You broke into a senior partner's office. That's a felony." Ava's eyes shifted to Liam. "And you? I had you escorted out 12 hours ago. Now you're committing corporate espionage for real." Liam straightened up slowly, the folder still in his hands. "It's not espionage if I'm trying to save lives." "Save lives?" Ava's laugh was bitter. "You deleted our project files and now you're stealing physical documents. That's not heroism. That's sabotage." "I didn't delete anything, but I know who did." Liam held up the folder. "And I can prove it. If you'll listen." "Why should I listen to anything you say?" "Because you're smart enough to know that something about this whole situation doesn't add up." Liam took a step forward. "You found me looking at blueprints that had fallen on the floor. I told you there was a structural problem. You had me fired. Then the files mysteriously disappeared, and suddenly I'm the prime suspect. Doesn't that seem a little too convenient?" Ava's expression flickered, just for a second. "You had means and opportunity.
I also had no motive. What was I going to do? Sell architectural secrets to a competitor? I'm a janitor, Ava. I push a mop for $8 an hour. This isn't Ocean's 11. Then why did you come back?
Because someone's setting me up to take the fall for insurance fraud, and I'm not going to let them destroy my life so they can collect a check. He opened the folder, pulling out the structural calculations. Look at this. Really look at it. The wind load analysis on the northwest corner. Ava didn't move. I'm not going to stand here and, you're an architect, right? You understand structural engineering? Liam spread the papers across Marcus's desk. Then tell me what's wrong with these numbers. For a long moment, Ava just stared at him. Then slowly she moved closer. Her eyes scanned the calculations, and Liam saw the exact moment she spotted it. Her expression shifting from skepticism to confusion to dawning horror. The oscillating wind pressure, she said quietly. It's not factored in. Because whoever ran these calculations used static load values, which work fine for most buildings, but not at this height, not in this location. Liam pointed to the connection specifications. The joints will flex, not much, maybe an inch or two at peak stress, but over years that movement creates microfractures. The northwest corner takes the worst of it because of the setback design. 5 years, maybe 7, and you'll start seeing structural failure. Ava was very still, her finger tracing down the column of numbers. This is Marcus's handwriting. He signed off on these calculations personally. Which means he knew, or should have known. Liam pulled out another document, the email chain Jennifer had found. And based on this, I think he did know. He just didn't care. Because a catastrophic structural failure during construction means insurance payout, a clean exit from a project that was going to bankrupt the firm anyway. Ava read the emails and Liam watched the color drain from her face. This can't be real, she whispered. Marcus wouldn't. He's been with this firm for 20 years. He's desperate, Jennifer spoke up for the first time. The firm is hemorrhaging money. 3 failed projects. If Riverside Commons goes south, Meridian is done. But if it fails in just the right way, they collect $40 million in insurance and blame it on the disgraced janitor who everyone saw stealing documents. Ava looked up at Liam, and for the first time he saw real uncertainty in her eyes. You're saying Marcus framed you. I'm saying someone did, and Marcus had the most to gain. Liam gathered the papers carefully. I need these documents. I need to take them somewhere safe and figure out what to do with them. You're not taking anything. Ava's voice was sharp again. This is evidence of a potential crime. It needs to go to the authorities. The authorities who will arrest me the second I show up? Liam shook his head. I've been fired, accused of corporate sabotage, and now I'm guilty of breaking and entering. You think anyone's going to believe me over Marcus Webb? I believe you. The words hung in the air like a fragile truce. Liam stared at her. What? I believe you. Ava's jaw was tight. I've been working on this project for 8 months. I've poured everything into it. And I missed this flaw, which means I'm either incompetent or someone deliberately kept me in the dark. She looked at the emails again. Marcus always insisted on handling the structural reviews personally. Now I know why. So what do we do? Jennifer asked. Ava was quiet for a long moment, thinking. We need more than just documents. We need proof that Marcus actively covered this up. Proof that he deleted the files and framed Liam. The security footage, Liam said. If we can get the full recording from that night, it's stored on a server in the IT department. David Reeves has access. Ava pulled out her phone. But if I call him now, Marcus will know something's wrong. He's probably monitoring my communications. Then we go get it ourselves. Liam checked his watch. 9:47. Security guard does rounds on the hour. We've got 13 minutes. Ava looked at him like he was insane. You want to break into the IT department? I want to clear my name and stop a criminal conspiracy. Breaking into IT is just a step along the way. This is completely... Ava stopped herself. You know what? Fine. But if we're doing this, we're doing it my way. I know the building security better than you do. You're helping us? Jennifer sounded shocked. I'm helping myself. If Marcus is guilty, then my entire career is tied to a fraudulent project. I need to know the truth. Ava straightened her shoulders, that sharp executive edge sliding back into place. And if Liam's right, then I owe him an apology. A big one. Liam felt something ease in his chest, Not quite trust, but close enough for now. IT department. Where? 45th floor, 2 floors up. Ava moved toward the door. All business now. Jennifer, you're going to need your laptop. Can you access the security server remotely if we can get you a hardline connection? Probably. Depends on their firewall setup. Then let's find out. Ava glanced back at Liam. And for the record, I'm still furious at you for breaking into this building. Noted. They took the stairs instead of the elevator. Quieter, less traceable. Liam led the way, moving fast and silent, years of night shifts having taught him exactly how sound carried in these concrete stairwells. The IT department was a maze of server racks and workstations, humming with the white noise of cooling fans and processing power. Jennifer headed straight for the nearest terminal, fingers already flying across the keyboard. I'm in, she said after 30 seconds. Local access bypasses most of the security protocols. Give me 5 minutes. Ava stood guard at the door, watching the hallway. Liam stayed close to Jennifer, watching her work. There, Jennifer said finally. Security footage from yesterday morning, full archive. She plugged in a thumb drive. Downloading now. The progress bar crawled across the screen, 60%, 70. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Ava's head snapped around. Someone's coming. How close? Liam asked. Close. 30 seconds, maybe less. Can you speed this up? Liam leaned over Jennifer's shoulder. Not without corrupting the file. We're at 85%. The footsteps were getting louder. Closer, 90%. Jennifer, Ava hissed. 95. The door started to open. 100%. Jennifer yanked the thumb drive out and stuffed it in her pocket just as the overhead lights blazed to life. David Reeves stood in the doorway, backlit and confused. Jennifer, what are you doing here? David, hey. Jennifer's smile was strained. Just, grabbing some files I forgot earlier. At 10 o'clock on a Saturday night? David's eyes moved from Jennifer to Ava to Liam, and his confusion shifted to alarm. What's going on? That's the janitor, the one who got fired. It's complicated, Ava said. It looks like breaking and entering. David pulled out his phone. I need to call security. Wait. Liam held up his hands. Just wait, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Let us explain what's happening, and then you can decide whether to make that call. David hesitated, finger hovering over his screen. Start talking. So they did. Liam laid it out. The structural flaw, the deleted files, the emails about insurance fraud. Jennifer showed him the code traces and the security gaps. Ava explained how the pieces fit together into a pattern that pointed straight at Marcus Webb. David listened, his expression shifting from skeptical to uncertain to genuinely worried. If this is true, he said slowly, then Marcus has access to everything. Email, phone records, security feeds. He could be monitoring all of us right now. Which is why we need to move fast, Liam said. Get this evidence somewhere safe before he knows we have it. Evidence of what exactly? David's voice was careful. All you have is speculation and circumstantial connections. We have the security footage, Jennifer said. If it shows what I think it shows, then you've got proof Marcus wasn't in the building when the files were deleted from his account, which means someone else used his credentials, which means… David trailed off, thinking. That's not enough for criminal charges, but it's enough to start an investigation. Can you help us? Ava asked quietly. David looked at her for a long moment. You're putting me in an impossible position. I know, and I'm sorry. But if we're right about this, people could die. Liam's voice was flat. That building is going to collapse. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but eventually. And when it does, it's going to kill people. Unless someone stops it. The silence stretched out, broken only by the hum of server fans. Finally, David sighed. What do you need from me? David pulled up a chair and cracked his knuckles, the gesture of someone about to do something he knew he'd regret. If I'm reading this right, we need 3 things. Proof that Marcus deleted those files, proof he knew about the structural flaw, and proof he planned to let the project fail for insurance money. The security footage shows he wasn't here when the deletion happened, Jennifer said, pulling out the thumb drive. That's 1. The emails and his handwritten sign-off on faulty calculations cover number 2,
Ava added, her voice tight with controlled anger. He knew. He had to know. But the insurance angle, that's harder. David's fingers were already moving across his keyboard, pulling up screens faster than Liam could follow. We'd need communication with the insurance company, policy details, something that proves intent. Marcus keeps everything, Ava said. Every email, every phone call log. He's obsessive about documentation. Then it's in the system somewhere. David's face was lit blue by the monitor glow. Question is whether I can find it before someone notices what I'm doing. How long do we have? Liam asked. Security does a full server check every morning at 6. That's 7 hours from now. If I'm careful and don't trigger any alerts, we should be fine until then. David pulled up another window. But if Marcus is monitoring activity like I think he is, he'll see the access logs eventually. We get one shot at this. Then make it count. Ava moved closer, watching over his shoulder. What can I do? Keep watch. If anyone comes, we need at least 2 minutes warning to cover our tracks. David's expression was grim. And pray Marcus is actually home sleeping instead of sitting in his study watching server activity. They fell into tense silence, broken only by the clicking of David's keyboard and the ambient hum of electronics. Liam found himself pacing the narrow aisle between server racks, his mind racing through contingencies and failure points. Jennifer had her laptop out, cross-referencing the security footage with timestamps from the file deletion. Ava stood at the door, checking her phone every 30 seconds. Got something, David said after 20 minutes. Marcus's email archive. He's got a folder labeled RC Insurance buried 3 directories deep. RC, that's Riverside Commons. What's in it? Ava asked. David clicked through, his face growing paler with each message. Communication with Great Lakes Indemnity, policy revision requests, coverage amendments. He stopped scrolling. Oh, hell. What? He increased the catastrophic failure coverage 2 months ago, bumped it from 40 million to 75 million. David looked up at them. That's not standard procedure. You don't just triple your insurance coverage unless you're expecting to use it. Liam felt cold certainty settle in his gut. When did he increase it? February 14th, 3 weeks before I spotted the structural flaw. Liam's hands clenched into fists. He knew the building was compromised, probably knew for months. He just needed time to set up the insurance claim and find someone to blame when it all came apart. There's more. Jennifer's voice was shaking slightly. She turned her laptop around, showing the security footage. Look at this. Timestamp 5:43 a.m. yesterday. The screen showed the senior design wing, empty and dark. Then a figure appeared, Marcus Webb, wearing the same clothes he'd supposedly arrived in 3 hours later, moving quickly toward his office. He was here, Ava breathed. He lied about when he came in. Keep watching, Jennifer said. On screen, Marcus entered his office and went straight to his computer. His fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced speed. 4 minutes later, he stood up, checked the hallway, and left the same way he'd come. Timestamp 5:52, Jennifer said quietly, exactly when the files were deleted. But the door logs don't show him entering the building, David said, confusion crossing his face. I checked those earlier. They show his first badge swipe at 8:15 because he came in through the executive parking garage. Ava's voice was hard. There's a private entrance on the lower level. Doesn't log to the main security system. It's on a separate network. Only senior partners have access. So he could come and go without anyone knowing. Liam shook his head. He deleted his own project files, waited a few hours, then came back through the front entrance and acted shocked when everything was gone, and pinned it on you. Ava was staring at the frozen image of Marcus on screen, her jaw tight. I helped him. I fired you in front of everyone, made you look guilty. You didn't know. I should have. She turned away from the screen. I'm supposed to be smarter than this. Marcus has been doing this for 20 years, David said, still typing. He's good at manipulation, good at covering his tracks. The only reason we're catching him now is because he got desperate and made mistakes. Is this enough? Jennifer asked. The footage, the emails, the insurance increase? Can we take this to the police? David hesitated. Maybe. Probably. But Marcus has lawyers, expensive ones. He'll claim the footage is doctored. The emails are taken out of context. The insurance increase was just prudent business planning. Then what do we need? Liam asked, frustration bleeding into his voice. A signed confession?
We need the client presentation, Ava said suddenly. We need Marcus to stand up in front of Patterson Development and present a design he knows is fatally flawed. That's fraud. That's conspiracy. That crosses the line from suspicious to criminal. The presentation is in 4 days, Jennifer said. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Can we even rebuild the project by then? David asked. Without the deleted files, we don't rebuild it. Ava's eyes were sharp now, calculating. We fix it. Liam spotted the flaw. That means Liam knows how to correct it. We create a revised design that actually works, and we present that instead of Marcus's death trap. Liam stared at her. You want me to redesign a $300 million tower in 4 days? I want you to fix the calculations you already identified as wrong. The rest of the design is solid. It's just the structural engineering on the northwest corner that needs work. Ava was already moving, pulling out her phone. We have the preliminary files. We have the original blueprints. We have you. I'm a janitor. You're an MIT-trained architect who graduated top of his class and published in peer-reviewed journals. Ava's voice cut like a blade. Stop hiding behind a mop and do what you were trained to do. The words hit harder than they should have, breaking through 3 years of carefully constructed defenses. Liam felt something crack open inside him, anger and fear, and a desperate clawing need to prove she was right. Even if I could fix the design, Marcus would never let me present it, he said. He'd shut it down the second he saw my name on the drawings. Then we don't use your name. Ava was typing furiously on her phone now. I'm the lead architect on record. I present the revised design. Marcus can't override me without explaining why he's rejecting a solution that fixes his own flawed calculations. He'll know something's wrong. Let him. By the time he figures it out, we'll be in front of the client with evidence that he deliberately sabotaged his own project. Ava looked up at them, her expression fierce. But we need to move fast. If Marcus realizes what we're doing... David's computer chimed with an alert. His face went white. Someone just accessed this session remotely, he said, fingers flying across the keyboard. They're trying to see what files I've been pulling. Can you block them? Ava asked. For maybe 60 seconds. After that, the screen flickered. He's overriding my lockout. Whoever this is has admin privileges higher than mine. Marcus, Jennifer breathed, we need to go. Now. Liam grabbed the folder of documents from Marcus's office. David, can you download everything we found? Already on it. David was typing with one hand while ejecting a thumb drive with the other. But he's going to know what we took. He's probably calling security, right? An alarm started blaring throughout the building, loud and insistent. Now, David finished, handing Liam the drive. That's the emergency lockdown protocol. All elevators disabled, all exits locked. We're trapped. The loading dock, Liam said. The door doesn't lock properly. If we can get back down there, that's 45 floors, Jennifer said. We'll never make it on foot before security finds us. Then we split up. Ava was already moving toward the door. David, you stay here. Act like you were working late and didn't notice anything wrong. Jennifer and I will take the east stairwell and try to draw security away from Liam. I'm not leaving you to... Liam started. You're the one they're looking for. You're the one with the evidence. Ava cut him off. If security catches us, we're employees working late. If they catch you, you're a fired janitor breaking into the building. Get out. Get somewhere safe. We'll find you later. She was right, and Liam hated it. Where? Millennium Park. By the Bean. Tomorrow, noon. Ava's eyes held his. Don't get caught. They scattered, Ava and Jennifer heading east, David closing down his workstation, Liam running for the west stairwell with the documents and thumb drives clutched against his chest. The stairwell echoed with his footsteps and the wailing alarm. Liam took the stairs 3 at a time, his legs burning, his lungs screaming for air. 45th floor, 43rd, 40th. He heard voices below him, security guards, at least 2 of them, coming up fast. 38th floor. Liam yanked open the door and dove into the hallway, pressing himself into a shadowed alcove as footsteps thundered past on the stairs. He waited until the sound faded, then slipped back into the stairwell and kept descending. 35th floor. 30th, 25th. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Loading dock compromised. Security waiting. Find another exit. Liam stopped on the landing, breathing hard, trying to think through the adrenaline. Another exit. There had to be another way out. The parking garage. Same entrance Marcus had used to avoid the security logs. Liam changed direction, heading for the sublevel access door on the 15th floor. The parking garage connected to the main building through a maintenance corridor that most people didn't even know existed. He'd only found it himself by accident during his 3rd week on the job. The corridor was narrow and poorly lit, lined with exposed pipes and electrical conduits. Liam moved quickly, counting doors until he found the one marked P2 access. It was locked. Of course it was locked. Liam pulled out the paperclip that had worked on Marcus's office, but this lock was different. Electronic keypad, not mechanical tumblers. Think. He'd seen maintenance workers use this door dozens of times. They always punched in the same code, their fingers moving in the same pattern. Down, down, right, up, down, right. 26826. Liam tried it. The lock clicked open. The parking garage was cavernous and mostly empty at this hour, lit by harsh fluorescent strips that turned everything gray and flat. Liam stayed close to the walls, moving between concrete pillars, heading for the ramp that led up to street level. That's when he heard it. The low rumble of an engine coming closer. A black sedan pulled into view at the top of the ramp. The same sedan from the coffee shop. Liam ducked behind a pillar, his heart hammering. The car stopped 20 feet away, engine still running. Both front doors opened. The 2 men from earlier stepped out. Not security guards, not police. They wore suits and moved with the kind of casual confidence that came from knowing you were the most dangerous thing in the room. "Carter," one of them called out, "we know you're here. The building's locked down. There's nowhere to go." Liam stayed silent, pressed against cold concrete, his mind racing through options. Fight wasn't one of them. He hadn't thrown a punch since a bar fight in college, and these men clearly knew what they were doing. Flight was looking increasingly impossible. Which left talking. "Who are you?" Liam called back. "That's not important," the second man said. "What's important is that you have something that doesn't belong to you. Hand it over, and we'll all walk away from this. The documents and the drives, everything you took from Marcus Webb's office and the IT department." Liam's grip tightened on the folder. "And if I don't? Then this gets unpleasant for everyone involved." The first man took a step forward. "We don't want to hurt you, Carter. We're just doing a job. Make it easy on yourself." "Who hired you, Marcus? Does it matter?" "It does to me." The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You've got 10 seconds to come out. After that, we come get you." Liam looked around desperately. The parking garage had one exit, the ramp these men were blocking. No windows, no other doors. Just concrete and pillars, and the sedan sitting there with its engine running. Wait, engine running. Liam pulled out his phone and opened the camera app, turning the flash to maximum brightness. Then he stepped out from behind the pillar, arms raised, the folder held high in one hand. "Okay," he said. "Okay, you win." The men relaxed slightly, moving toward him with that same casual confidence. Liam waited until they were 15 feet away. Then he dropped the folder and threw his phone at the sedan's windshield. The flash was still on, and in the enclosed space of the parking garage, the burst of light reflected off every surface at once. Windshield, windows, chrome, concrete. Both men jerked back, hands flying up to shield their eyes. Liam ran. Not toward the ramp. That was suicide. Toward the far corner of the garage where he remembered seeing an emergency exit sign during one of his cleaning shifts. Behind him, he heard shouting, then footsteps pounding on concrete. The emergency exit door was locked, but there was a fire alarm pull station next to it. Liam grabbed the handle and yanked down. A different alarm joined the building's security siren, this one even louder, designed to wake the dead. The emergency exit's magnetic lock disengaged with a heavy clunk. Liam shoved through into another stairwell, this one older, grimier, probably original to the building's construction 40 years ago. He took the stairs up instead of down, gambling that they'd expect him to head for street level. Up meant roof access. Roof access meant possibilities. He climbed until his legs felt like they'd give out, and then he climbed some more. Behind him, the sounds of pursuit echoed in the concrete shaft, growing fainter as he put distance between himself and the men. Finally, he hit a door marked Roof Access, Authorized Personnel Only. It was locked. Liam wanted to scream. Instead, he pulled out the badge he'd stolen back from security and tried it on the card reader, knowing it wouldn't work but having no other options. The light turned green. The door opened. Wind hit him like a physical force as he stumbled onto the roof. The Chicago night spread out in every direction. The building's alarm was muted up here, replaced by the ambient sound of the city, traffic and distant sirens, and the hollow whistle of air moving between skyscrapers. Liam crossed to the edge and looked down. 43 stories of empty air between him and the street below. No fire escape. No convenient adjacent building. No miraculous way down. He was trapped. The roof access door opened behind him. One of the men stepped out, breathing hard, his earlier calm completely gone. "Nowhere left to run," he said, pulling something from his jacket. "Not a gun. A phone." He held it up, showing Liam the screen. It was a video feed, live footage of Mrs. Chen's apartment building. A camera positioned across the street pointed directly at her front door. "We know about the kid," the man said quietly. "We know where she is. You want her to stay safe? You give us what we came for." Everything inside Liam went very cold and very still. "You touch her." "We don't want to touch anyone. We just want the documents." The man took a step closer. "You're out of moves, Carter. Give us the folder and the drives. Walk away. Your daughter never has to know any of this happened." Liam's hands were shaking. He looked down at the folder he'd fought so hard to protect. Evidence of Marcus's fraud. Proof of the structural flaw. Everything he needed to clear his name and save lives. And on the other side of that equation was Emma. 7 years old and sleeping safely in Mrs. Chen's apartment, completely unaware that her father's choices were about to determine whether she had a future. There was no choice at all. Liam held out the folder. The man smiled and reached for it. That's when the roof access door burst open and Ava Sinclair stepped out, her phone held high and pointed directly at them. "Say that again," she'd said loudly. "The part about threatening his daughter. I want to make sure I got it on video." The man froze, his eyes going wide. "Also recorded," Ava continued, her voice sharp and clear. "Your admission that you're working for Marcus Webb, and the footage from the parking garage where you attempted to assault Liam Carter, and your license plate when you followed us from the coffee shop earlier." "Who the hell are you?" the man demanded. "Ava Sinclair, senior architect at Meridian Design Group, and as of about 15 minutes ago, the person who filed a police report about corporate espionage and witness intimidation." She lowered the phone slightly. "The cops should be here in about 3 minutes. You can wait around for them if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it." The man looked between Ava and Liam, calculating odds. Then he turned and ran back through the door, his footsteps echoing down the stairwell. Liam stood there, still holding the folder, his entire body shaking with adrenaline crash. "How did you—" "Followed you." Ava crossed to where he stood. "Jennifer and I split up in the stairwell. I circled back and trailed you to the parking garage, saw the whole thing." She held up her phone. "Got most of it on video, too." "They were watching Emma." "I know. We'll figure that out. Right now, we need to get you somewhere safe." Ava's expression softened slightly. "You were going to give them everything to protect her." "Of course I was." Liam's voice cracked. "She's my daughter." "I know." Ava reached out and took the folder from his hands. "Which is why we're going to make sure those men never get anywhere near her. Come on, there's a service elevator on the north side that bypasses the main security system. We can get out before the police arrive and start asking questions you're not ready to answer." They made it down and out through a delivery entrance on the building's west side, emerging into an alley that smelled like trash and rain. Ava led him 3 blocks away before finally stopping in the doorway of a closed restaurant. "Are you okay?" she asked. Liam realized he was still shaking. "I don't know, maybe. Ask me tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to fix a broken building design and save both our careers." Ava pulled out her phone. "Tonight we need to get you and Emma somewhere Marcus can't find you." "Where?" "I have an apartment in Lincoln Park. Guest room's empty. You can both stay there until this is over." She was already texting someone. "Jennifer's going to pick up Emma and Mrs. Chen and bring them over. We'll tell Mrs. Chen it's a gas leak in your building, something believable that doesn't panic her." "Ava, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do." She looked up at him, and in the dim streetlight he could see the guilt written across her face. "I fired you. I humiliated you in front of everyone. I made you the villain without asking a single question. So yeah, I absolutely have to do this. It's the least I can do." Liam wanted to argue, but exhaustion was creeping in around the edges, and Emma needed to be somewhere safe, and he didn't have any better options. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me after we nail Marcus Webb to the wall." Ava's phone buzzed. "Jennifer's got Emma. They'll be at my place in 40 minutes. Come on, we'll grab a cab." The ride to Lincoln Park took 20 minutes through light late-night traffic. Ava's apartment was on the 8th floor of a modern building with doormen and security cameras and the kind of lobby that screamed money. Emma and Jennifer were waiting in the guest room when they arrived, Emma half asleep and clutching her backpack. "Dad!" She ran to him, and Liam caught her up in his arms, holding her tight enough to hurt. "Hey, sweetheart, you okay? Mrs. Chen said there was a gas problem. Are we going to go home soon?" "Not tonight. We're staying here with Ava for a little while." He carried her to the guest bed and tucked her in, smoothing her hair back from her face. "Go back to sleep. Everything's fine." Emma's eyes were already closing. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too." He stayed there until her breathing evened out, then joined the others in Ava's living room. Jennifer had her laptop out, already pulling up files. Ava was making coffee. "Okay," Jennifer said. "We've got the evidence. We've got the security footage. We know what Marcus did and why he did it. Now what?" "Now we rebuild the design," Ava said, handing Liam a mug. Or rather, Liam rebuilds it while we handle the logistics. Monday morning presentation happens in 88 hours. Can you fix the structural calculations in that time? Liam thought about the blueprints, the load-bearing calculations, the wind shear analysis. Thought about the thousands of hours he'd spent in school learning how buildings worked and why they failed. "Yeah," he said, "I can fix it." "Then that's what we do." Ava sat down across from him. "We work all weekend. We create a design that actually functions. And Monday morning we walk into that presentation and show Patterson Development what a real architectural firm looks like." "Marcus will know something's wrong the second he sees revised calculations," Jennifer said. "Let him." Ava's smile was cold. "By the time he figures out what we've done, it'll be too late. The client will see the corrected design. The police will have our evidence, and Marcus Webb will have nowhere left to hide." Liam looked around the room, at Jennifer hunched over her laptop, at Ava with her coffee and her fierce determination, at the guest room where his daughter slept safely. 3 days ago he'd been invisible, a janitor with a mop and a past he was trying to forget. Now he was sitting in a luxury apartment planning to expose corporate fraud and redesign a $300 million building. Sarah would have laughed at the absurdity of it, would have told him he was being reckless and stupid and brave, would have told him she was proud. "Okay," Liam said, setting down his coffee. "Let's get to work." They worked through the night. Ava cleared her dining table and transformed it into a makeshift war room. Blueprints spread across every surface, laptops open and humming, coffee cups multiplying like bacteria. Jennifer handled the digital files, pulling up old versions and cross-referencing calculations. Ava coordinated logistics, making lists and timelines and contingency plans. And Liam did what he hadn't done in 3 years. He designed. His hand moved across the paper with muscle memory that hadn't faded, sketching load paths and stress vectors, recalculating wind coefficients and material tolerances. The numbers came back to him like a language he'd forgotten he spoke, flowing from brain to hand to page without conscious thought. "The problem isn't just the wind shear," he said, around 2 a.m, erasing a line and redrawing it with fractional precision. "Marcus's design treats the building like it's static, but at this height, in this location, it needs to breathe. The structure has to flex without compromising integrity." "So we add dampening systems?" Ava asked, leaning over his shoulder. "Dampening helps, but it's not enough. We need to redistribute the load entirely." Liam tapped the northwest corner. "The setback creates a weak point. The wind hits here and has nowhere to go, so instead of fighting it, we channel it." He sketched rapidly, his vision crystallizing on the page. "We add a series of vertical cores that act like shock absorbers. The building still moves, but the movement is controlled, distributed across multiple points instead of concentrated in one corner. It's not revolutionary. They've been using similar principles in Tokyo for decades. But it works." Jennifer looked up from her laptop. "How much will that change the cost?" "Less than you'd think. We're replacing one structural system with another, not adding to it." Liam ran quick calculations in the margin. "Maybe a 2% increase in materials, But it saves the entire project from catastrophic failure, so I'd call that a bargain. Marcus is going to hate this, Jennifer said. Good. Ava's voice was ice. Let him hate it. Let him try to explain why he's rejecting a solution that fixes his own mistakes. They worked in focused silence for another hour, Liam sketching and calculating while Ava translated his hand-drawn concepts into digital renderings that would look professional in front of a client. Jennifer compiled evidence files, organizing the security footage and emails into a timeline that told a damning story. Around 3:30, Liam's hand started cramping. He set down his pencil and flexed his fingers, staring at the growing pile of corrected blueprints. I'd forgotten, he said quietly. Forgotten what? Ava asked without looking up from her laptop. How much I missed this. The designing, the problem solving, the way a building becomes real on paper before it's real in the world. He picked up the pencil again, turning it over in his hands. After Sarah died, I told myself I was done with architecture, that I'd failed at the one thing I was supposed to be good at, and there was no point trying anymore. You didn't fail, Ava said. I couldn't hold it together, couldn't meet deadlines, couldn't focus, couldn't be the person my firm needed me to be. They were patient for a while, but eventually they ran out of patience, and I didn't blame them. How do you trust someone to design a building when they can't even design their own life? Jennifer stopped typing. That's not fair to yourself. Maybe not, but it's what I believed. Liam set the pencil down and rubbed his eyes. So I took the first job I could find that didn't require me to think too hard. Became invisible. Figured if I couldn't be good at what I loved, I'd at least be reliable at something simple. Except you couldn't stop seeing the problems, Ava said, understanding in her voice. You were a janitor, but you were still an architect. You couldn't just walk past that blueprint without noticing the flaw. No, I couldn't. Liam looked at the corrected design spread across the table. And look where that got me. It got you here, Ava said firmly, in a position to actually do something about it, to save lives and prove Marcus wrong and show everyone who wrote you off that they made a mistake. She met his eyes across the table. That's not a failure, Liam. That's a second chance. He wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe that 3 years of barely surviving could somehow transform into redemption. But hope was a luxury he'd stopped being able to afford. What if I'm wrong? He said. What if my calculations are off? Or I missed something? Or I'm just too rusty to see the real problem? Then we fix it. Ava's certainty was absolute. But I've been checking your work for the past 4 hours, and so far every single calculation is perfect. Better than perfect? It's elegant. Marcus's design was brute force. Yours is smart. It's our design now, Liam said. I'm just the guy with the pencil. You're the guy who spotted a flaw that 3 licensed engineers missed. The guy who risked his job and his safety to make sure people didn't die. That makes you a hell of a lot more than just the guy with the pencil. Liam felt something shift in his chest, a loosening of the tight knot he'd been carrying for 3 years. Not gone, not even close, but fractionally lighter. Okay, he said, then let's finish this. By sunrise, they had a complete revised design. Every load calculation corrected, every structural element optimized, every weakness in Marcus's original plan addressed and solved. It was good work, the kind of work Liam had once done routinely and had convinced himself he'd never do again. Emma woke up around 7, wandering into the dining room in her pajamas and rubbing sleep from her eyes. She stopped when she saw the blueprints covering every surface, her gaze tracking the complex lines and numbers. Are you building something? She asked. Fixing something, Liam said, pulling her onto his lap. Remember that big building project I told you about? Well, it had some problems, and we're making it better. Emma studied the nearest blueprint with serious concentration. Is this what you used to do, before you cleaned offices? The question landed like a knife between his ribs. Yeah, this is what I used to do. It looks hard. It is hard, but it's also good, important. He kissed the top of her head. What do you think? Does it look okay? Emma tilted her head, examining the drawings with the gravity of a professional critic. It needs more windows. Despite everything, the exhaustion, the fear, the crushing weight of what they were about to attempt, Liam laughed. You're absolutely right. It does need more windows. Ava brought Emma a bowl of cereal and set it on the only clear corner of the table. Your dad's really smart, you know that?
He's helping us solve a really big problem. Emma nodded, mouth full of Cheerios. I know. He helps me with my homework, too. He's good at math. The best, Ava agreed, and the look she gave Liam held something that might have been respect, or might have been apology, or might have been both. Jennifer emerged from the guest bathroom looking haggard but determined. I've been thinking about Monday. We can't just walk into that presentation cold. Marcus will be there. His lawyers will probably be there. We need a strategy. The strategy is simple, Ava said. I present the revised design. I'm the lead architect on record. Marcus can't stop me from presenting without cause. He'll try to object, but by then the client will be seeing corrected calculations and improved structural integrity. Patterson Development isn't stupid. They'll know which design is better. And when Marcus accuses us of sabotage, Jennifer asked, we show them the evidence, the security footage, the emails, the insurance documents. Ava's expression was grim. We turn it around on him, make him defend why he rejected a superior design that fixes his own mistakes. That's going to get ugly, Liam said. Good. Let it get ugly. I want everyone in that room to see exactly who Marcus Webb really is. Ava checked her watch. We've got 36 hours before the presentation. We need to print the final designs, prep the presentation boards, and practice the pitch until we could do it in our sleep. I can't be in that room, Liam said. Marcus will have me arrested the second I show up. You're right, you can't. Ava's voice softened. But you don't need to be there in person. Your work will speak for itself. And once this is over, once Marcus is exposed and the truth comes out, you'll get the credit you deserve. I don't need credit. I just need Emma to be safe and my name cleared so I can get a job that doesn't involve cleaning toilets. Liam stood up, careful not to disturb his daughter. But first we need to make sure Marcus doesn't have us all arrested before Monday morning. Already on it. Jennifer held up her phone. I sent copies of everything to 3 different lawyers and a journalist I know at the Tribune. If anything happens to us, those files go public automatically. Marcus can't touch us without exposing himself. He doesn't know that. Then we make sure he finds out. Jennifer's smile was sharp. I'm going to send him an email right now, very professional, very polite. Just letting him know that we've discovered some irregularities in the Riverside Commons project and we'll be presenting our findings to the client on Monday morning. That'll panic him, Ava said. That's the idea. Panicked people make mistakes. Liam watched Jennifer type out the message with clinical precision, each word carefully chosen to sound innocent while carrying an unmistakable threat. She hit send and looked up at them with grim satisfaction. Now we wait, she said. They didn't have to wait long. Marcus called Ava's cell phone 14 minutes later. She put it on speaker. What the hell is going on? Marcus's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. I just got an email from Jennifer Park about irregularities in our project. What irregularities? Hello, Marcus. Ava's tone was professionally neutral. We found some structural concerns in the original calculations. Nothing that can't be fixed, but we thought it was important to address them before the client presentation. What structural concerns? The design was approved by 3 engineers. Yes. Well, we're finding that the wind load analysis might have been insufficient for a building of this height and location. I've asked my team to revise the calculations and present a corrected version on Monday. Silence on the other end of the line. When Marcus spoke again, his voice was dangerously quiet. Your team. Jennifer, David from IT, and a consulting architect with expertise in high-rise structural engineering. We don't have a consulting architect on this project. We do now. Given the timeline and the stakes, I thought it was prudent to bring in additional expertise. You don't have authority to hire consultants without my approval. I have authority to ensure our work doesn't kill people. Ava's voice went cold. Unless you'd like to explain to Patterson Development why you're opposed to fixing structural flaws. Another long silence. Liam could almost hear Marcus's mind working, trying to figure out how much they knew and how far they were willing to push. I want to see these revised calculations before Monday, Marcus said finally. Of course. I'll email them Sunday night. I want to see them now. They're not finished yet. We're still running stress models and verification tests. You'll have them Sunday night. That gives you plenty of time to review before the presentation. Ava, listen to me very carefully. Marcus's voice dropped to something that might have been a threat or might have been a plea.
You're making a mistake. Whatever you think you found is thoroughly documented and peer-reviewed. We're doing this by the book, Marcus. Everything proper and professional, just like you taught us." Ava hung up before he could respond. The silence in the apartment stretched out, broken only by Emma humming quietly to herself while she drew pictures on the back of a discarded blueprint. "He's going to come after us," Jennifer said. "Let him try." Ava was already texting someone. "I'm looping in 2 more people from the firm, architects I trust who aren't in Marcus's pocket. We need witnesses, people who can verify that we followed proper procedures and that our design is structurally sound." "Will they help?" Liam asked. "If they want to keep their jobs after Marcus gets fired, they will." Ava looked up from her phone. "This is happening. We're past the point of no return. Monday morning, we walk into that conference room and we burn his world down." Liam felt the weight of it settling over him, the enormity of what they were attempting, the risks they were taking, the lives that hung in the balance. 3 days ago, he'd been worried about making rent. Now he was part of a plan to expose corporate fraud and save a building from collapse. Sarah would have told him he was insane. She also would have been right there beside him. "Then we'd better make sure we're ready," he said. They spent Saturday refining the presentation. Ava rehearsed her pitch while Liam and Jennifer offered feedback and suggestions. Emma played quietly in the corner, occasionally wandering over to ask questions about what they were doing. Liam tried to explain it in 7-year-old terms. They were fixing a building design so it would be safe, like how you fix a broken toy so it works properly again. "Will the bad man get in trouble?" Emma asked at one point. Liam exchanged glances with Ava. "What bad man, sweetheart? The one who broke the building on purpose. Is he going to get in trouble?" "Out of the mouths of children." "Yeah," Liam said. "Yeah, I think he is." Emma nodded, satisfied, and went back to her drawings. Saturday night, Ava ordered pizza and they ate on the floor of her living room, too tired to care about formality. David showed up around 8 with more printed files and a laptop full of backup documentation. "Marcus tried to lock me out of the system today," he said, dropping into a chair. "Changed my access credentials without warning. Lucky I saw it coming and made offline copies of everything first." "He's panicking," Jennifer said. "Good. Panicking people are dangerous," David countered. "He's got resources, connections. He could make our lives very difficult." "Our lives are already difficult," Ava said. "The question is whether we're going to let him get away with it or whether we're going to fight back. I'm just saying we should be prepared for anything." David pulled up a file on his laptop. "I've been monitoring Marcus's communications all day. He made 6 calls to his lawyers and 3 to Patterson Development. He's trying to reschedule the Monday presentation." "Can he do that?" Liam asked. "Not without a good reason. And Patterson is getting impatient. They've been waiting 3 months for final designs. If Marcus tries to delay again, they'll probably pull the contract entirely." "So he's trapped," Jennifer said. "He has to let the presentation happen, but he knows we're going to expose him. Which means Monday is going to be a war zone." Ava looked around at all of them. "Everyone needs to understand what we're walking into. Marcus will have his lawyers there. He'll deny everything. He'll try to discredit us, claim we're the ones committing fraud. It's going to get nasty." "I'm ready," Jennifer said. "Same," David added. Ava turned to Liam. "What about you? You're the one with the most to lose. If this goes wrong, I'm right back where I started, unemployed and scrambling to survive." Liam looked down at Emma, asleep on the couch with her head in his lap. "But if it goes right, maybe she gets to grow up knowing her dad is someone who stood up for what was right. That's worth the risk." Sunday morning, they did a final run-through of the presentation. Ava stood at the front of the living room with printed boards propped on chairs, walking through each slide with precise confidence. She explained the structural improvements, highlighted the cost analysis, addressed potential objections before they could be raised. "The question Patterson will ask is why we're presenting a revised design this late in the process," she said. "And the answer is simple. Because we discovered a critical flaw that the original design failed to address. We had a choice between presenting a flawed design on schedule or presenting a corrected design with minimal delay. We chose safety over convenience." "And when Marcus argues that the original design was fine," Jennifer asked, "we show them the calculations side by side. Let them see which design actually works." Ava's expression was hard. "Mathematics doesn't lie. Marcus does." They practiced for hours, Jennifer playing the role of difficult client, David throwing out technical objections, Liam watching for any weakness in the presentation. By noon, Ava could deliver the entire pitch in her sleep. That afternoon, Liam took Emma to a park a few blocks away while the others finalized logistics. They sat on a bench and watched pigeons fight over breadcrumbs, the normalcy of it almost surreal after the past few days. "Are you scared?" Emma asked suddenly. Liam considered lying, then decided she deserved better. "A little bit. Yeah." "Of what?" "That I'm going to mess this up. That people won't believe me. That I won't be able to protect you." He put his arm around her shoulders. "But being scared doesn't mean we don't do the right thing. It just means we do it anyway, even though we're scared." Emma was quiet for a moment, processing this. "Mom used to say that too." "She did?" "When I was little. She said brave people aren't the ones who aren't scared. They're the ones who are scared but do the thing anyway." Liam felt his throat tighten. "Your mom was very smart." "I know." Emma leaned against him. "I miss her." "Me too, sweetheart. Every single day." They sat there for a while, watching the city move around them, people walking dogs, couples holding hands, kids chasing each other across the grass. Normal Sunday afternoon things that felt impossibly distant from the corporate warfare waiting for them tomorrow. "Dad?" Emma said eventually. "Yeah? Are you going to be an architect again? Like you used to be?" The question hung in the air between them. Liam thought about the blueprint spread across Ava's dining table, about the satisfaction of solving problems and creating something that would outlast him, about the person he'd been before grief had hollowed him out. "I don't know," he said honestly. "Maybe, if people will let me." "I think they should. You're really good at it." Emma looked up at him with absolute certainty. "And you're a good dad too. You can be both." Liam pulled her close, blinking against the sudden burn of tears. "Thanks, kiddo." They walked back to Ava's apartment as the sun started setting, painting the Chicago skyline in shades of orange and gold. Tomorrow would bring confrontation and consequences. Tonight, Liam let himself believe just for a moment that maybe everything would work out. Sunday night, they gathered one last time to review the plan. Ava would arrive at Meridian at 8 a.m., 2 hours before the presentation, to set up the conference room. Jennifer and David would arrive separately, coming in as regular employees. The revised designs would be loaded onto Ava's laptop, with backup copies on 3 different drives in case Marcus tried anything. "What about the evidence files?" Liam asked. "The security footage and emails?" "I'll have them ready to present if needed," Ava said. "But I want to try the clean approach first. Walk in, present the corrected design. Let the technical superiority speak for itself. If Marcus forces the issue and tries to block us, then we escalate." "He's going to force the issue," David said flatly. "The second he sees those calculations, he'll know we've been in his files. He'll go nuclear." "Then we go nuclear right back." Ava's voice was steel. "I'm not backing down from this. Not now." Liam looked around the apartment that had become their headquarters. Empty coffee cups and crumpled papers, laptops still running, blueprints rolled and stacked and ready to go. 3 days ago, these people had been strangers. Now they were co-conspirators, allies, maybe even friends. "Thank you," he said quietly. "All of you. You didn't have to do any of this." "Yeah, we did," Jennifer said. "Nobody gets to commit fraud and ruin lives without pushback. That's not how this works." "Plus, you were right about the structural flaw," David added. "That building would have killed people. Stopping that is worth the risk." Ava just looked at him for a long moment. "I fired you in front of everyone. Treated you like a criminal without asking a single question. If I don't do everything in my power to fix that mistake, I don't deserve to call myself an architect." Liam nodded, not trusting his voice. They said their goodnights around 11. David and Jennifer left for their own apartments. Ava showed Liam and Emma to the guest room one more time. "Try to get some sleep," she said. "Tomorrow's going to be intense." "What about you?" "I'll sleep when this is over." She paused in the doorway. "Liam, whatever happens tomorrow, you should be proud of what you've done here. You saw a problem and you refused to walk away. That takes courage. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing." Ava's smile was brief and genuine. "Good night. See you on the other side." Liam lay awake long after Emma fell asleep, staring at the ceiling and running through worst-case scenarios. Marcus could have them arrested for corporate espionage. The client could reject the revised design. The evidence could somehow disappear. 1,000 things could go wrong, but they could also go right. For the first time in 3 years, Liam let himself imagine a future where he wasn't just surviving, where he could use his skills and support his daughter, and maybe, just maybe, prove to himself that he was still the person he used to be. It was a fragile hope, easily broken, but it was hope nonetheless. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, Liam finally drifted off to sleep with blueprints dancing behind his eyelids, and his daughter's steady breathing the only sound in the darkness. Monday morning arrived too soon and not soon enough. Liam woke Emma at 6:30, earlier than he wanted to, but late enough that she'd gotten some sleep. Mrs. Chen arrived at 7 to take her to school, fussing over both of them and pressing a container of homemade soup into Liam's hands. "You look terrible," she said bluntly. "When did you last eat real food?" "Yesterday. Maybe." Liam accepted the soup with gratitude he couldn't quite articulate. "Thank you for everything, Mrs. Chen, for watching Emma, for not asking too many questions." "Questions can wait. Right now you go do what you need to do." She squeezed his arm with surprising strength. "And you come back in one piece, yes? That little girl needs her father." Emma hugged him tight before leaving, her small arms fierce around his waist. "Good luck, Dad. I love you." "Love you too, sweetheart. See you tonight." He stood in Ava's doorway and watched them disappear down the hall, Mrs. Chen's hand firmly holding Emma's, and felt the full weight of what he was about to do settle across his shoulders. If this went wrong, Emma wouldn't just lose her father to unemployment. She might lose him to criminal charges, corporate espionage, breaking and entering, theft of proprietary documents. But if he didn't try, people would die in a building that never should have been built. There wasn't really a choice at all. Ava emerged from her bedroom at 7:15, dressed in a charcoal suit that looked like armor, her hair pulled back in a style that meant business. She'd barely slept. Liam could see it in the shadows under her eyes, but she moved with focused determination. "Ready?" she asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." They took separate cars to Meridian. Ava went in through the front entrance at 8 sharp, her laptop bag slung over one shoulder and 3 backup drives hidden in her jacket pockets. Liam stayed behind, watching from a coffee shop across the street with a clear view of the building's main entrance. Jennifer had given him a burner phone connected to a group chat. Messages started coming through almost immediately. "Jennifer, in position, conference room B. Marcus hasn't arrived yet. David. IT systems normal, no signs of tampering or lockouts. Ava. Setting up presentation boards. Client expected at 9 a.m. Liam typed back, "Good luck. I'm watching." The coffee shop was nearly empty at this hour, just him and a couple of early morning regulars nursing espresso and staring at laptops. Liam ordered black coffee he didn't want and claimed a table by the window, his eyes never leaving the Meridian building entrance. At 8:40, a black Lincoln Town car pulled up. 3 people got out, 2 men in expensive suits and a woman carrying a leather portfolio. Patterson Development, the client. Liam. Client just arrived, 3 people. They look serious. Ava. Good. Serious means they'll pay attention to the facts. At 8:50, Marcus Webb's silver BMW pulled into the executive parking garage. Liam watched him emerge and stride toward the building, phone already pressed to his ear, his expression thunderous even from across the street. Liam. Marcus just went in. He looks pissed. Jennifer. He's in the hallway, walking toward the conference room. Wait, he's got someone with him. Lawyer, maybe. Guy in a suit carrying a briefcase. Ava. Let him bring whoever he wants. We have the truth. Liam's coffee went cold while he waited. 9 o'clock came and went. The group chat went silent. Whatever was happening inside that conference room, it was happening now, and all Liam could do was sit across the street and trust that the people who'd believed him when no one else would could pull this off. 9:17. His phone buzzed. David? Holy shit. Jennifer. Marcus just tried to shut down the presentation. Ava's holding her ground. David. The client is asking questions, lots of questions. Liam's hands clenched around his phone, willing the messages to come faster, to tell him what was happening. 9:23. Jennifer. Ava just showed them the corrected calculations, side by side with Marcus's version. The client engineer is going through the numbers right now. 9:31. David. Marcus's lawyer is threatening legal action. Ava just pulled out the security footage. Jennifer. Client wants to see it. Marcus is objecting. This is getting ugly. Liam stood up, unable to sit still any longer. He paced the length of the coffee shop, ignoring the barista's concerned look. His entire world narrowed to the phone screen and the building across the street. 9:45 key. Ava. Presenting evidence now. Client is watching the footage. Marcus is trying to leave. Client told him to sit down. David. Oh man, oh man. The client engineer just confirmed Liam's calculations are correct and Marcus's are wrong. Jennifer. Patterson. Development is asking Marcus to explain why he signed off on faulty structural engineering. Liam stopped pacing, held his breath. 9:52. Ava. Marcus just admitted he knew about the flaw. David. What? Jennifer. He's trying to spin it, saying he was planning to fix it before construction, saying this is all a misunderstanding. Ava. Client's not buying it. They're asking about the insurance policy increase. 10:03. Jennifer. Marcus's lawyer is advising him to stop talking. Too late. He already said too much. David. Client just terminated the contract. They're walking out. Ava. Marcus is demanding to know who the consulting architect is. I'm not telling him. This is about to get very loud. Liam's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, then realized it might be important. Hello? Mr. Carter? A professional male voice, unfamiliar. This is Richard Patterson with Patterson Development. I'm currently in a conference room at Meridian Design Group, and I understand you're the architect who identified the structural flaws in our building design. Liam's heart stopped. Yes, sir, that's me. I'd like to meet you, in person, as soon as possible. I'm across the street, coffee shop on Wabash. Stay there, I'm coming down. The line went dead. Liam stood frozen, phone still pressed to his ear, trying to process what had just happened. The client, the actual client, the person with $300 million on the line, wanted to meet him. 5 minutes later, Richard Patterson walked into the coffee shop with the woman who'd arrived with him. He was mid-50s, gray at the temples, with the kind of presence that came from building empires. The woman was younger, sharp-eyed, probably an engineer or project manager. Patterson spotted Liam immediately and crossed the shop with his hand extended. Mr. Carter, Richard Patterson, this is Elena Reeves, my chief structural engineer. Liam shook both their hands, his mind racing. Mr. Patterson, Ms. Reeves, I'm not sure what Ava told you, but she told us you worked as a janitor at Meridian for 8 months, that you spotted a critical structural flaw in our building design, that when you tried to report it, you were fired and framed for corporate sabotage. Patterson's voice was calm, but his eyes were steel. Is that accurate? Yes, sir. That's accurate. Elena, show him. The woman pulled out a tablet and loaded up the corrected designs, Liam's designs, the ones he'd spent 3 sleepless nights perfecting. Walk me through these calculations, specifically the load redistribution on the northwest corner. So Liam did. Right there in the coffee shop, leaning over her tablet, explaining wind coefficients and stress vectors and dampening systems, falling back into the technical language that had once been his native tongue. Elena asked pointed questions. Liam answered them all, his confidence growing with each explanation. When he finished, Elena looked at Patterson. He's right. About all of it. The original design would have failed within 7 years. His corrections solve every structural issue and actually improve the overall efficiency. Patterson nodded slowly, his gaze never leaving Liam's face. Ms. Sinclair mentioned you graduated from MIT, top of your class. Yes, sir. And you've spent the last 3 years working as a janitor because? Liam could have lied, could have spun it into something that sounded better than the truth, but he was done hiding. My wife died. Car accident. I had a 7-year-old daughter and no family support, and I fell apart. Lost my job because I couldn't hold it together. Took the first work I could find that didn't require me to be anything more than invisible. Patterson was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. And I'm sorry that you were punished for trying to do the right thing. Patterson pulled out a business card and handed it to Liam. We're no longer working with Meridian Design Group. We need a new architectural firm to complete this project, and we need it done by someone we can trust. Someone who cares more about safety than profit margins. Liam stared at the card, not quite believing what he was hearing. I'm not a firm, You're an architect who saved my company from building a death trap. That counts for a lot. Patterson's expression softened slightly. We don't need the full design redone. Your corrections to the structural engineering are solid. We just need someone to oversee the implementation and ensure everything is built to spec. 6-month contract, consultant rate, with the possibility of future work if this goes well. Mr. Patterson, I haven't worked as an architect in 3 years. I don't have an office or a team, or you have integrity. You have skill. The rest we can figure out. Patterson stood, offering his hand again. Think about it. Call me when you decide, but don't take too long. We'd like to break ground by summer. He left with Elena, leaving Liam sitting there with a business card in his shaking hands and a job offer that felt like something out of a dream. His phone buzzed. Ava, where are you? Patterson said he was coming to find you. Liam, coffee shop. He just offered me a consulting contract to finish the project. Jennifer. What? David, are you serious right now? Ava. Come back to the building, now. You need to see this. Liam crossed the street in a daze, the business card still clutched in his hand. The security guard at the front desk didn't try to stop him this time, just nodded and waved him through to the elevators. The 43rd floor was chaos. People clustered in hallways, voices raised, phones ringing unanswered. Liam pushed through to conference room B and stopped in the doorway. Marcus Webb sat at the head of the table, flanked by 2 lawyers, his face ashen. Ava stood at the opposite end with Jennifer and David, her laptop still open and displaying the damning security footage. 3 other Meridian employees Liam didn't recognize were scattered around the table, looking shell-shocked. Everyone turned when Liam entered. There he is, Marcus said, his voice hoarse. The janitor who destroyed my career. The architect who saved lives, Ava corrected coldly, and prevented your company from committing insurance fraud. You can't prove. We have the emails. We have the footage. We have your signature on calculations you knew were wrong. Ava's voice could have cut glass. The only question now is whether you want to resign quietly or wait for the criminal investigation. Marcus looked at Liam with pure hatred. You should have stayed invisible, should have kept your mouth shut and done your job. My job was cleaning up other people's messes, Liam said quietly. Turns out I was pretty good at it. One of the lawyers leaned over and whispered something to Marcus. The fight seemed to drain out of him all at once, his shoulders sagging. I want immunity, Marcus said, full immunity in exchange for cooperation with any investigation. That's not our decision to make, Ava said. That's between you and the authorities. She looked at Jennifer. Call them. Tell them we have evidence of corporate fraud and we'd like to make a formal statement. Jennifer pulled out her phone, already dialing. Marcus stood up slowly, adjusting his tie with shaking hands. This isn't over, Sinclair. I have lawyers, resources. You think you've won, but I don't think I've won, Ava interrupted. I know I did my job correctly. I know I trusted the right people. And I know that when I go home tonight, I'll be able to sleep without wondering if my work is going to kill someone. She met his eyes without flinching. Can you say the same? Marcus didn't answer. He walked out of the conference room with his lawyers trailing behind, and Liam knew he'd never see the man again except maybe in a courtroom. The room erupted in controlled chaos. People making calls, sending emails, trying to figure out what came next. Ava crossed to where Liam stood and stopped in front of him. Patterson offered you the contract, she said. Not a question. Yeah. Are you going to take it? Liam thought about Emma, about 3 years of barely surviving, about the person he used to be and the person he might become again if he let himself try. I think I am, he said, but I'm going to need help. I can't do this alone. Ava's smile was genuine for the first time since he'd met her. Good thing you're not alone anymore. The police arrived 20 minutes later, 2 detectives who took statements from everyone and confiscated the evidence files. They were professional and thorough, asking pointed questions about timelines and documentation. Liam told them everything, from the moment he'd picked up the fallen blueprint to Marcus's admission that he'd known about the structural flaws. It took 3 hours to get through all the statements. By the time the detectives left, promising they'd be in touch for follow-up, it was past noon and Liam was running on fumes. Jennifer ordered Thai food, and they ate in the conference room, too tired to go anywhere else. David pulled up the news on his laptop. Already there were articles appearing about Meridian Design Group, about Marcus Webb's resignation, about allegations of fraud and cover-ups. "It's going to be a media circus," David said through a mouthful of pad thai. "Everyone's going to want interviews, statements, the whole story." "Let them want," Ava said. "We did what needed to be done. That's all that matters." Liam's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Chen. "Emma asking when you're coming home. I told her soon. That true?" He typed back, "Very soon. On my way now." "I need to go," he said, standing up. "My daughter's waiting." "Go." Ava walked him to the elevator. "And Liam, thank you for not walking away, for caring enough to fight back, for being better than the rest of us." "I'm not better than anyone. I just got lucky that you decided to listen." "Luck had nothing to do with it. You earned this." She held out her hand. "Partners?" Liam shook it, feeling the full weight of the word settle into place. "Partners. Not employer and employee, not superior and subordinate. Equals." "Partners," he agreed. The train ride to Mrs. Chen's building felt different this time, lighter somehow, like he'd been carrying a weight for 3 years that someone had finally lifted off his shoulders. He still had problems, still had debt and uncertainty and a future that was far from guaranteed, but he also had a job offer from a major client, had allies who'd risked their careers to help him, had proof that he was still the person he'd been before grief had tried to erase him. That was something. Emma was waiting in Mrs. Chen's living room, working on homework at the kitchen table. She looked up when he came in and her whole face transformed. "Dad, did it work? Did you fix the building?" "We fixed it," Liam said, scooping her into a hug. "The bad guy doesn't get to hurt people anymore, and the building is going to be safe." "And you have a job again?" "Yeah, kiddo, I have a job again. A real one. Doing what I'm actually good at." Emma squeezed him tight. "I knew you could do it." Mrs. Chen stood in the doorway, smiling that knowing smile that came from living through wars and revolutions, and understanding that sometimes the only way forward was straight through the fire. "You did good," she said simply. "Now take your daughter home." Home was still the same cramped apartment with the pull-out couch and the narrow kitchen. But it felt different as Liam unlocked the door and ushered Emma inside. Less like a cage he was trapped in, and more like a place they were building from. He made spaghetti for dinner, letting Emma help with the sauce, and telling her an edited version of the past few days. She listened with rapt attention, asking questions about buildings and stress calculations and what it felt like to stand up to bullies. "Were you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," Liam admitted, "but I did it anyway. Because some things are more important than being scared." Emma nodded seriously. "Like Mom used to say." "Yeah, exactly like Mom used to say." After dinner, they worked on her popsicle stick building project together. Liam showed her how to create stable joints and distribute weight evenly, explaining the same principles he'd used on the Riverside Commons redesign in terms a 7-year-old could understand. "It's all about balance," he said, helping her glue a crossbeam into place. "The building has to hold itself up, but it also has to flex enough to survive wind and weather. Too rigid, and it breaks. Too flexible, and it falls down. The trick is finding the right middle ground." Emma studied their structure critically. "Like people, kind of." Liam blinked. "What do you mean?" "Like you were too flexible after Mom died. You kind of fell down for a while, but then you got strong again." She added another stick carefully. "Now you're balanced." Out of the mouths of children, Liam felt his throat tighten with something that might have been grief or might have been gratitude or might have been both. "Yeah," he said softly. "I guess I am." He tucked Emma into bed at 8:30, reading her 2 chapters of her current favorite book and answering one more round of questions about buildings and stress and what he was going to do tomorrow. "Tomorrow I'm going to call Mr. Patterson and accept his job offer," Liam said. "Then I'm going to start planning how to turn those corrected designs into a real building. And I'm going to make sure I'm home in time to help you with homework. Promise?" "Promise." Emma's eyes were already drifting closed. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, sweetheart. More than anything." He stayed until her breathing evened out into sleep, then retreated to the living room and pulled out his phone. Patterson's business card sat on the coffee table, the numbers looking both intimidating and full of possibility. Liam took a breath and dialed. Patterson picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Carter, I was hoping to hear from you." "I want to accept your offer," Liam said, "but I need to be honest with you about something. I've been out of the industry for 3 years. I don't have an office or professional insurance or any of the infrastructure a normal consultant would have. I'm basically starting from zero. Then we'll help you build it. I'm not interested in a normal consultant, Mr. Carter. I'm interested in someone who sees problems other people miss and has the courage to speak up about them. Everything else is logistics. I also have a daughter, 7 years old, which means I can't work 80-hour weeks or travel constantly or sacrifice my personal life for the job. Good. I don't want employees who sacrifice their personal lives. I want employees who have something worth protecting." Patterson's voice was firm. "We'll structure the contract around your needs. Flexible hours, remote work when possible, clear boundaries between work and family time. Does that address your concerns?" Liam felt something inside him ease. "Yes, sir. That addresses my concerns." "Excellent. I'll have our legal team draw up the contract and send it over tomorrow. Welcome aboard, Mr. Carter. I look forward to working with you." They hung up, and Liam sat in the quiet apartment staring at his phone and trying to process the fact that his life had just fundamentally changed direction. 3 days ago, he'd been a janitor facing unemployment and eviction. Now he was a consulting architect with a major client and a chance to rebuild the career he'd thought was dead forever. The next few weeks moved in a blur of contracts and meetings and logistics. Liam signed with Patterson Development on Tuesday. By Friday, he had a small office space rented in a shared workspace downtown, just 2 rooms and a drafting table, but more than he dared hope for. Ava connected him with an insurance broker and a lawyer who helped him navigate the paperwork of becoming a legitimate consulting firm. Jennifer left Meridian and came to work for him as a project manager, bringing David along to handle the digital infrastructure. Within a month, Liam had gone from working alone to leading a small team, coordinating with contractors and engineers, overseeing the implementation of the Riverside Commons corrections. The criminal investigation into Marcus Webb moved forward with bureaucratic slowness. Marcus's lawyers negotiated a plea deal, full cooperation in exchange for reduced charges. He lost his architectural license, paid a substantial fine, and accepted a 5-year ban from working in the construction industry. The firm itself barely survived, restructuring under new leadership and settling a lawsuit with Patterson Development for breach of contract. Liam didn't follow the details too closely. Marcus was someone else's problem now. In June, they broke ground on Riverside Commons with revised designs and corrected engineering. Liam stood at the construction site with Emma beside him, both of them wearing hard hats that were comically oversized on his daughter's small head. "That's going to be a real building?" Emma asked, staring at the massive hole in the ground where the foundation would go. "That's going to be a real building," Liam confirmed. 60 stories tall. Apartments and offices and shops. Hundreds of people are going to live and work there every day. "And it's not going to fall down?" "Not if we build it right, which we will." Emma nodded, satisfied. "Because you're good at your job. Because I have help from good people. And because I care about getting it right." He put his hand on her shoulder. "That's the thing about buildings, kiddo. They're not just steel and concrete. They're promises. Promises that people will be safe inside them. That they'll stand strong when storms come. That they'll be there for the next generation and the one after that. Breaking those promises is the worst thing an architect can do. Is that why you stopped that bad man? Because he was breaking promises?" "Yeah, that's exactly why." The construction site hummed with activity around them. Workers in safety vests, machinery rumbling, the organized chaos of creation. Liam watched it all with something that felt dangerously close to peace. He'd spent 3 years trying to disappear, convinced that if no one saw him, he couldn't fail them. But invisibility wasn't safety. It was just another kind of cage. Being seen meant being vulnerable. Meant people could judge you and criticize you and find you wanting. But it also meant they could respect you and trust you and give you chances you'd thought were gone forever. It meant you could fail, sure, but it also meant you could rise. That night, back in their small apartment that was already starting to feel too cramped for what they were building, Liam helped Emma finish her popsicle stick project. They'd been working on it for weeks, adding details and reinforcements, turning it from a simple structure into something genuinely impressive. "What do you think?" Emma asked, stepping back to admire their work. "Will it win the contest?" "I think it's the best popsicle stick building I've ever seen," Liam said honestly. "But even if it doesn't win, you should be proud of it. You built something real with your own hands. That matters more than any prize." Emma studied their creation thoughtfully. "Do you think Mom would have liked it?" The question hit Liam in the chest like it always did. Grief never really went away. It just learned to coexist with everything else. "I think she would have loved it, and I think she'd be proud of you for working so hard on it." "What about you? Would she be proud of you?" Liam thought about the past few months, about standing up to Marcus, about trusting Ava and Jennifer and David when every instinct screamed at him to stay invisible, about taking the risk of being seen again, of being vulnerable again, of believing he could be more than just a ghost haunting his own life. "I think maybe she would," he said. "Yeah, I think maybe she would." Emma hugged him suddenly, fierce and tight. "I'm proud of you, Dad." Liam held her close. This small person who'd been his reason to survive when surviving felt impossible, and felt gratitude so intense it threatened to break him open. "Thanks, kiddo," he managed. "That means everything." The following Monday, Liam stood in the same hallway at Meridian Design Group where Ava had fired him 3 months earlier. The building felt different now, smaller somehow, less intimidating. He wasn't here as a janitor this time. He was here because Ava had asked him to come, had said there was something important he needed to see. She met him in the lobby, looking professional and slightly nervous. "Thanks for coming. I know it's probably strange being back here." Strange is one word for it. Liam glanced around at the marble floors he'd mopped 100 times. "What's this about?" "Come with me." She led him to the 43rd floor, to the senior design wing, to the exact spot where she'd confronted him about the fallen blueprint. The hallway was full of people. Jennifer and David, a dozen other Meridian employees Liam recognized, even Patterson and Elena from Patterson Development. Everyone turned to face him as he entered. Ava cleared her throat. 3 months ago, I made a mistake. A big one. I accused Liam Carter of corporate espionage and had him fired without asking a single question about what really happened. I humiliated him in front of colleagues and treated him like a criminal when he was actually trying to save lives. The hallway was completely silent. Liam would have had every right to walk away and let our firm destroy itself. Instead, he risked his freedom and his safety to expose fraud and prevent a catastrophic building failure. He did that not because he wanted revenge or recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. Ava looked directly at Liam. "I owe you an apology. A public one. You deserved better from me, and I'm sorry I didn't give it to you." Liam felt every eye in the hallway on him, waiting for his response. He could have made a speech about forgiveness and moving forward, could have turned it into a moment of grand reconciliation. Instead, he just nodded. "Thank you, that means a lot. There's one more thing." Ava pulled an envelope from her jacket and held it out to him. "Meridian Design Group would like to offer you a formal partnership. Equal equity stake, equal decision-making power, your name on the door. We want you to help us rebuild this firm into something that actually lives up to its values." Liam stared at the envelope, not taking it. "I already have a firm, and a contract with Patterson Development, which you could fulfill as part of Meridian. We'd provide the infrastructure, the support staff, the resources you need to scale beyond one-man operations. You'd maintain full autonomy over your projects while having access to our network and reputation." Ava's voice was careful. "I'm not asking you to give up what you've built. I'm asking you to build it with us." "Why?" Liam asked. "You could hire any architect in the city. Why me?" "Because you see things other people miss. Because you care about getting it right more than looking good. Because you proved you'll fight for what matters even when it costs you everything." Ava's expression was serious. "And because if I'm going to rebuild this firm, I want to do it with people I trust. You're at the top of that list." Liam looked around the hallway, at Jennifer and David who'd risked their careers to help him, at the other Meridian employees watching with cautious hope, at Patterson who'd given him a chance when he had nothing. He thought about the small office he'd rented, just 2 rooms and a drafting table, about how hard it would be to grow beyond that without help, without resources, without the kind of institutional support that came from being part of something bigger than yourself. And he thought about Emma, asking him if he was going to be an architect again like he used to be. About Sarah, who'd always believed he could do great things if he just had the courage to try. I need to think about it, he said finally. This is a big decision. I can't just... Take all the time you need, Ava interrupted. The offer stands. Talk to your team, talk to your family, talk to whoever you need to talk to. Just know that the door's open whenever you're ready. Liam took the envelope, feeling its weight in his hands. Okay, I'll think about it. The crowd dispersed slowly, people coming up to shake his hand and offer congratulations and welcome him back to the building where he'd once been invisible. Patterson pulled him aside on the way out. She's right, you know, Patterson said, about you seeing things others miss. That's a rare gift. Don't waste it working alone when you could be teaching others to see the same way. I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of responsibility. Nobody ever is. But that's not a reason to say no. Patterson smiled. Think about it. Whatever you decide, we're still moving forward with Riverside Commons. That contract is yours regardless. Liam went home and spent the evening with Emma, helping her with homework and making dinner, and not talking about the decision weighing on him. After she went to bed, he sat on the pull-out couch with the unopened envelope and tried to figure out what the right answer was. Partnership at Meridian meant stability. Resources. A team of talented architects and engineers. The chance to work on major projects and make a real difference in the city's skyline. It also meant giving up the independence he'd fought so hard to reclaim. Meant tying his name to a firm that had nearly destroyed itself through corruption and greed. But maybe that was the point. Maybe the only way to prevent future Marcus Webbs was to build something better from the inside. To teach the next generation of architects that integrity mattered more than profit margins. That seeing problems and speaking up was more important than keeping your head down. He thought about the 3 years he'd spent invisible. About how safe it had felt and how hollow it had left him. About Emma, growing up watching him hide from the world, learning that the way to survive was to never be seen. That wasn't the lesson he wanted to teach her. Liam opened the envelope and read the partnership agreement carefully, making notes in the margins, drafting questions and concerns. When he finally went to sleep around midnight, he still hadn't made a decision. But he was close. The next morning, he dropped Emma at school and headed to the Meridian building. Ava was in her office, buried in blueprints, and looked up in surprise when he knocked. "That was fast," she said. "I thought you'd take at least a week to decide." "I'm an architect. I'm trained to solve problems efficiently." Liam sat down across from her. "I have conditions." "I'm listening." "First, my team comes with me. Jennifer and David get positions at Meridian with salaries and benefits commensurate with their skills. Non-negotiable." "Done. What else?" "Second, I maintain final approval over any project I work on. If I see a problem, I speak up, and I don't get overruled by someone prioritizing money over safety." "Agreed. That's actually going to be in all our new operating procedures." "Third, flexible hours. I have a daughter who needs her father present. I'm not sacrificing her childhood for anyone's profit margin." "Already in the contract. Next?" Liam pulled out his own list of notes. "Fourth, I want to start a mentorship program. Bring in junior architects, teach them how to see structural problems, create a culture where speaking up is rewarded instead of punished." Ava leaned back in her chair, a smile tugging at her lips. "Is that all?" "No. One more thing." Liam met her eyes directly. "I want Marcus's name removed from all existing projects. Every building this firm has ever worked on needs to be reevaluated for structural integrity. If we find problems, we fix them, even if it costs us money, even if it means admitting past mistakes. That could take years and cost millions. Then it takes years and costs millions. We do it anyway." Liam's voice was firm. "Buildings are promises. If we're going to make promises, we need to keep them. All of them. Even the old ones." Ava was quiet for a long moment, studying him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Then she stood and offered her hand across the desk. "Welcome to Meridian Design Group, partner." They shook on it, and Liam felt the full weight of the decision settle into place. He was committing to something bigger than himself now, taking responsibility for more than just his own survival. It was terrifying. It was exactly right. That evening, he picked Emma up from school and took her out for ice cream to celebrate. She got chocolate chip with gummy bears on top. He got vanilla because he was boring, and they sat on a park bench watching the sun set over the Chicago skyline.
Did you make your decision? Emma asked, chocolate smeared across her chin. I did. I'm going to be a partner at a big architecture firm, which means more responsibility and more work, but also more chances to build good things. Will you still have time for me? Always. That's part of the deal. You're the most important thing, kiddo. Nothing changes that.
Emma nodded, satisfied, and went back to demolishing her ice cream cone. Liam watched her and felt the future stretching out before them, uncertain and challenging and full of possibility. 3 months ago, he'd been invisible, convinced that safety lay in never being seen. Now he was visible in every way that mattered: his work, his name, his commitment to doing things right, even when it was hard. People could judge him now, could find him lacking, could hold him accountable for his decisions and his mistakes. But they could also trust him, could learn from him, could build alongside him and create things that would outlast them all. And maybe, just maybe, they could teach Emma that being brave didn't mean never being scared. It meant being scared and showing up anyway, meant standing up for what was right even when it cost you everything, meant believing you could be more than the worst thing that had ever happened to you. Liam had spent 3 years learning that lesson the hard way. Now he was going to spend the rest of his career teaching it to anyone willing to listen. Because buildings weren't just steel and concrete and carefully calculated stress loads. They were promises. And some promises were worth fighting for.